Montrell. How was your trip, man?
It was all right. Uh, I got to see Dennison and his
Oh,
fiance.
nice.
Yeah, that's what we went up there for. I don't know if I think he said an invite to everybody. I don't know if you.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah,
That was last weekend. Okay.
yeah. So I saw Tyler up there. I saw Snakes up there. Um, so yeah, we just went for his little party, and it was pretty cool. It was pretty chill and laid back. Um, and then I saw one of my other friends up there, who I haven't seen in a while, and I met her husband. Um, and then she finally met my wife. So
Mm-hmm.
it was pretty cool. And then we drove back, and we got back on Sunday night. Um, yeah, so it was pretty chill. I mean, I was up there all weekend, so I mean, I had my Switch, but I really didn't play it because I'm not playing it right now until Deanna gets done with Tears of the Kingdom, because I don't know if I take the cartridge out, I don't know if she saved a game or not, so I'm not gonna you know mess with it or anything like that.
Can't check for her and just go save it.
I just want her to finish the game. I feel like if I take the Switch back and I don't, yeah, if I take the Switch back, she won't never finish it. And it's not like I won't give it to her; she just won't really remember to finish the game. So
Okay.
I just really want her to finish the game, which she said she's like on the last boss now, or the last boss before Ganondorf. And then she's gonna finish it. So once she does that, then I'll have my Switch back. Because I've been wanting to do another replay of like Xenoblade. I was probably just gonna play all the DLC for like Xenoblade 1, and then play a DLC for Xenoblade 2. And
Okay, you're not replaying the games though, right? The full games. Didn't
I
you just?
wanted
You
to.
literally just did
I
this.
wanted to. I don't think I have enough time though.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are you a psycho? You literally just did this. Like,
I was gonna play the ones I want to replay. So I really want to replay 3.
Okay.
I don't want to replay 2.
Yeah.
I might replay 1, but I played 1. I think I played 1 on the hardest difficulty, so I might not do that.
Yeah.
So I think I beat 1 on the hardest difficulty already. So
is there a difficulty level?
There's a difficulty level.
Oh,
well, I guess it's not necessarily a difficulty level. It's like an expert level. I guess that's not really difficulty. The little expert thing.
Are you sure? Hold on. I keep going.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just been really wanting to play it because it's been coming across my timeline a lot, and I just been thinking about it a lot. Yeah, I thought there was a difficulty level.
Along Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, the easy difficulty is available as casual mode along with the default normal difficulty. A new mode called Expert Mode was added that allows for greater control over player progression. I don't think that makes the game harder though. I think that's the one. This is the one where you can like adjust your levels and shit.
Yeah,
I used that shit constantly.
Yeah, that's what I was using as well. Once I understood it, in Xenoblade Chronicles 3, you can play as on the harder difficulty. So
yeah, yes.
I might replay that one on a harder difficulty. I don't know. 3 is just weird. Yeah, 3 is weird though, because it's not like you can carry over your stuff. I don't know if there's like a proper new game mode for it. Because I don't really want to do. I would like to cancel my arts, and I know you can't do that until a certain point in the game, and that's my real biggest complaint about 3 is that they just give it to you for no apparent reason. There is no story element behind it, or it's not locked behind some mechanic or anything. It literally, at one point in the game, they just say, you can fucking cancel shit now.
Yeah, there's just a pop-up. Yeah. It's literally like a tutorial pop-up. So there is a new game plus in 3.
Okay.
I don't know. Like, let's see what carries over: character levels, unlock classes and ranks, special talent arts, soul hackers, learned arts and skills, clothing and attachments, collectibles, accessories, crafted gems, origin shards, silver and gold no point coins, the art of flow. I believe that's the cancel thing.
That's the cancel thing. Okay.
I think so. Let me click on it. Yeah, I think that's canceling.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, this item. Yes, it's an item, and it allows players to cancel arts into other arts, so that carries over
Okay.
into New Game Plus.
All
Yeah.
right, cool. Yeah, so I'll
Yep.
definitely do a replay through. Because that's another reason why I don't want to replay through 2 as well, because even though I like 2, I think 2 out of all 3 of them, 2 has the best chain attack arts, in my opinion. Is
Yeah.
very I like them better than 1. 1 is pretty straightforward. But yeah, 2 is like you can manipulate it and strategize your blades around it and everything like that. And like I said, at the later parts of the game, I was using it to where I was like sealing reinforcements and stuff like that. Like 2 was really good at the end of the game when you were using the chain attacks to do certain things and become resistant to certain things and everything like that. So I might replay that on hard mode if their new game plus is pretty good as well. I'm not sure.
I think it's pretty similar to what 3 has.
3, okay.
Yeah. Like I think you keep your levels and stuff, meaning you'll have cancels unlocked from the get go.
Okay, yeah, because I knew like towards the end of the
skill
game.
tree.
Yeah, I knew towards the end of the game, like your chain attacks really started to matter, and even if you were going against like one of the 86 level or the 89 level bosses that roam the field, like you really need to know how to strategize your chain attacks towards them. Really don't like 3's chain attacks. I like everything else but their chain attacks. I think their chain attacks are fucking awful. I think 3 has the
Yeah, it
worst
just
chain attacks.
it's too long. The whole thing
Yeah,
is too, and maybe they fix that. It's possible they fix that
possibly.
with a patch or something where you could like skip things, because that
Yeah,
was like the most common complaint about the entire game was the chain attack stuff. So as much as I enjoyed it in the beginning, yeah, it definitely started to drag towards the end, and it's a huge part of the combat though. Like,
yeah, yeah. So, um, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. Like, I might do it. But I know I already pre-ordered, or not pre-ordered, but I guess I did pre-order it. Fuck it. Spider-Man today, because it comes out literally at 11 o'clock. So I want to play it at 11 o'clock.
wow, you pre-ordered it. How what a weak constitution
To,
you have.
today, like I didn't pre-order it like 5 months in advance. I pre-ordered it like the standard edition today.
Man, going against what this podcast stands for, man.
I don't think that. Okay, I guess it is a pre-order. I'll take the hit for it. Whatever. I don't really
I
think it
mean, you
constitutes
couldn't have
it.
just waited till 11.
I
You want
guess
to
I
play
could
it.
have.
You want to play it tonight, right? So you needed to pre-order it so you could preload, right? Because you probably already preloaded it.
Yeah, I'm preloading it right now. I did it when I
Okay.
got home today.
All right. I'll let it slide. That's acceptable. It's acceptable enough. I'm not going to kick you off the podcast, but I
No,
practice what I preach, man. I'm not buying that game until tomorrow. So I
Yeah,
might buy it
it'll
at
be
11
available.
when it's available. But
Yeah, just get it at 11 when it's available. Like I'm going to be busy tomorrow, so I'm literally not going to be able to play the game till like Sunday probably. So
gotcha.
tonight's going to be my
You're
only night
chomping
to
at the
play
bit.
it. Yeah, tonight's going to be
Well,
my only night to play it. So
yeah. Well, yeah. I'm honestly. I think I'm gonna buy it digitally.
I bought it digitally. So
I know. I think I'm going to the dark side, man. I'm just so tired of physical. I don't want to drive around and like it's like out of stock at like the 3 fucking places I go, and it's like it's becoming harder to find games physically, and it's like I'm
yeah,
just
they're
like
making it hard.
not with this one, dude. I just kind of want to play it, I
Yeah.
know I know I'm gonna like this game. Like this isn't a game where it's like I'm gonna sell it or something like that. It's just like it's fucking Spider-Man, bro. Like it's just like I'll own it forever. It's fine, So, but yeah, with Xenoblade, I don't know, dude. I can't believe you want to replay. It's funny that you want to replay them, but I'm like, I haven't really been thinking about it too much, but I do need to do a playthrough of all 3 again at some point. Because I'll be honest, as much as I love the series, I have not completed it in a completionist way, really. I'd say 1 is the closest I've gotten, and even that one I have not fully completed everything in that game, like post-game stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't get my characters to max level. I did not beat the final like super hard boss or anything like that. I did not find all the, do all the side quests necessarily. So I like I've left some things unfinished, and I never did the DLC for any of the 3 games.
Me neither.
So I want to do that too. It's such a huge undertaking when you consider like doing a completionist playthrough of the game plus DLC for all 3 games. I mean, we're talking conservatively 400 hours, probably, maybe 5 between all 3 games. And I just
Yeah.
that is a mountain, like
Yeah.
to go into. And it's like I know I'm gonna enjoy the whole thing, probably. Even 2. I'm gonna enjoy that too, but dude, that's a lot, It's a lot. But I don't know. I want to do it at some point. I have a completed save file in all 3 games, so I
Yeah, me
probably
too.
will just do New Game Plus, which will severely reduce the grind in terms of time taken to beat. So it may help with cutting that number down, probably. But so I don't know. It's an interesting thought. Definitely not right now. The next 6 months are booked, probably. Like there's just there's too many games that I want to play.
Yeah,
And
I'm at a standstill because I really wanted to I haven't really completed. I haven't 100% Scarlet Nexus yet and
mhm.
everything, and I don't know. Cyberpunk took so much of my time. I still haven't finished that game. Like I'm probably on the last part of both the DLC and the actual game itself. Um,
Mhm.
but I don't know. I just haven't feel like going back and playing it. Might be because I've been hardlining it for like the last 2 weeks, and I just
Yeah.
don't really want to play it anymore. But I need to finish it. But I'm not going to finish it now because the Spider Man's out. But even that game, if that game's too large, like I might quit that at 75%. Like I don't, I get
Spider-Man
these
2.
games are Spider Man 2.
I'm
Like
hearing that game is actually like, dude. I've heard that it's like 30 hours to platinum it.
really okay, that's
Yes,
really
which
fucking good.
I am fucking psyched.
Yeah, yeah.
Of like,
I just knew this game was gonna be like 100 hours.
yeah.
I just knew it. So that's actually really good to hear because I've actually been like dark on the game, but I really liked the length of Miles Morales. I platinumed that game. That was my first platinum, and I
Yeah.
like the length of that. And I think that should have been. I didn't platinum OG Spider Man or 2018 Spider Man, um, which I probably should have, but I didn't.
I'm the
Uh,
opposite because the original didn't require 2 playthroughs. So I
okay,
platinum the original and not Miles Morales because I didn't want to play through the game again.
okay, yeah, that makes sense. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It was a cool game. It's a cool game. I don't know. It's just been a really weird. Like I should be more excited for Spider Man and more excited for the games coming out, but it's just like I'm just kind of overwhelmed. So because I'm going
Well,
back to class and then I'm about to
yeah.
take up a second job probably. Not for any particular reason, just because
Mm,
I sometimes I'll be bored and I want a
mhm.
little extra spending money. So it's like I don't know. So
Interesting. Well, I'm like tentatively excited about Spider-Man. I'm just not thinking about it too much. I'm just letting it come out and I'm gonna play it. And I'm sure I'm gonna come on the show and I'm probably gonna be fucking like losing my mind about it. But I don't have a lot of anticipation for it. I guess is what I'll
yeah,
say.
is it weird that I don't get super hyped for games I know that's going to be good?
No, I don't think so. I think we're both the same in this way. Because I will say the one thing about Spider-Man, and I think a lot of the reason I'm not excited about it in the same way that I would be like a Xenoblade is I know what I'm gonna get.
Yeah.
Like I think this game has a high likelihood of being like for me like a 9 or a 9.5, and
Mhm.
it's not gonna be a perfect 10, but I don't need it to be that. I'm not saying it needs to be
Yeah.
that, but it's like, but for Xenoblade, I think for something like Xenoblade, right? Like it's a little bit more variable. Like each game is very different for me in
Mhm.
terms of
Yep.
how much I like it and what I like about each game. And so plus I'm a little bit more invested in the series. I guess I'm not super invested in Spider-Man. Like I enjoy Spider-Man. It's solid. Like it's not like I don't like it or anything like that. It's just I think you might I think you like it a little bit more than I do, but um it's just good. It's good, you
Well,
know.
I was late on the Spider-Man train. Like I played Miles Morales before I played 2018. And then I went back and played 2000. Well, the
Mm,
remaster, because the remaster came with the Miles Morales collection.
yeah.
So I was late on playing Spider-Man just because it's not that I didn't have time. It kind of slipped my radar. Even though I know everybody was talking about it, it did. The
Hmm.
last Spider-Man game I played was like Web of Shadows, and I love that Spider-Man game.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, like everyone was telling me to just play it, and I played it. I finally played it. I played Miles Morales first, and then I went back and played the other one, and I was like, okay, these games are really good. Um, because I just thought it was gonna be like another Batman ripoff, but
Hmm.
I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't even know why I didn't play it when it first came out. I remember hearing about it. I remember hearing the praise about it. I remember hearing, um, the web slinging and everything of that nature, how it just revolutionized the way Spider-Man traverses and everything of that nature. And I just don't know why this game slipped my radar. But yeah, it did, and I'm kind of glad because I experienced it like kind of fresh, without any input from other players because like it wasn't on my news feed when I played it, anything of that nature. So, well,
Hmm.
Miles Morales was with like 2000, the Spider
Hmm.
Man with Peter Parker was just a pure enjoyment for me because like no one else was really playing it like that. Um,
Mm.
so I don't know. I like going into games blind. I think I get excited for games that are either brand new IPs or I know they do something different every game because it's like
Hmm.
I'm getting something new and I don't know what to expect. I don't know how it's going to feel in my hands. Like for instance, Fantasy VII Rebirth, they're doing a lot of changes to that game, and it's like I don't know what to expect going into that, and I'm very excited for that game. Like that game, I am like anxiously
Yeah.
anticipating.
Well, like
To where
16 was like that for both of us too,
yeah, exactly.
because it
Yep.
was very different from what we've seen with Final Fantasy before. You know.
Exactly. With the Spider-Man, I know, like you said, you know what you're getting into. The combat's going to be improved a little bit. The cinematics is going to be improved a little bit. Everything is going to be a lot better. Um, but yeah, it's like weird. I expect that. Like now, this is like Wolverine coming out from
Hmm.
Insomniac. I'll be like super excited for it
Yeah.
because I don't know what to expect from a Wolverine game from Insomniac. The
Right.
last
Right.
Wolverine game I played was Wolverine Origins from Raven Studios, I think. And I love that game. It was a movie tie-in game, but probably one of the best movie tie-in games I've ever played, besides
Yeah.
King Kong.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. And for me,
so
like a example of a game, I guess like unreasonably excited for. I guess I would say is Unicorn Overlord from Vanillaware. Um, I
mhm.
just don't know. Like, I seen what the game is, and it sold me. I don't need to watch any more, trailers of it. I'm buying that shit and playing the fuck out of it. And it's like a tactics game that's kind of an ogre battle, spiritually an ogre battle game or looking game made by one of my favorite, you know, Japanese developers with an amazing art style and they're great storytellers. Um, in a genre that I love personally. Like that's the combination of things you have to hit for me to get really excited. Plus, I don't really know what I'm going to get, out of that game either. I don't like I've seen what it is, but I don't know exactly what it's going to be. And
Yeah,
I feel like
it's
with
it,
Spider-Man, I just know that a little bit more. And maybe the game will
it's
surprise me, but
yeah, it's like I don't know how to explain it, and this is gonna sound super biased. Uh, like with Western games and Western action games in particular, you know what you're gonna get by just watching what you get. What made Web of Shadows so crazy was because the way that game was developed. I don't know, like it was almost developed like to be a Devil May Cry esque Spider Man. You can do some crazy shit. You can cancel stuff and everything. And I don't even think the developers meant to do that, but it was just the way it was.
mm-hmm.
Um, and you can do crazy shit in Miles Morales and in the original Spider Man. I've seen people do crazy stuff, but it's like it doesn't really hit the itch for me. Like I've even seen people do crazy juggling stuff in like God of War Ragnarok, right? But it just doesn't hit for me the way it should hit. Like I don't know. I don't know how I explain it. But when I play games like Devil May Cry or something like that, and I see the combat for it, or I see the combat for like Nier Automata, or I see the combat for like Scarlet Nexus or whatever the case may be. Like I
Yeah.
see those games and I see the combat for it, and I see people play it, and I'm like, oh, you're not playing this right. Like once I get my hands on it, I know the combat's going to be super fucking deep. You know what I'm saying? Like I know I'm going to discover some shit within the combat that's like crazy. And then even like with like Xenoblade and everything like that, right? Like I can look at the combat and be like, all right, that's what the combat is. That's what you're showing me on gameplay footage or whatever. But then once I get my hands on it and I understand the combat and I understand the intricacies of the system, it's like learning another game within the game, and you're like, oh, this is what like was really hiding there the entire time. And Xenoblade has a tendency to do layers upon layers, which is like another reason I want to replay, Bait and Katos, and I haven't played Bait and Katos 2. So it's like I want to play those games because I understand what the combat is, and it's like, but you can look at 5 minutes of gameplay and it may be like, at the beginning 20 minutes of the game or whatever the case may be. But then at the end of the game, like the game is so fast and it's a totally different game by the time you get to the end of it. Whereas like sometimes with some Western games, not all of them, it's like what you see is what you get. You know what I'm saying? And then some of them have surprised me to where like it is a totally different game if you change settings around and everything of that nature. Like for instance, like obviously DMC Devil May Cry, but like a game like Ghost Recon or something like that. The way you can play that game is dependent all upon you. Cyberpunk is another game that's like the way you play that, you can do some crazy shit in that game and look really cool while you're doing the crazy shit, and it can be like really deep and fun and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's just it depends on the developer and the type of game. So yeah, I don't know.
Well,
I don't know if that makes any sense.
What I'm hearing is you're the meme you always send to me about the guy who sees Western stuff and is bored, and then
well, I gave
Japanese,
I said
he's
Cyberpunk.
Super excited,
No, like I see.
That's what I'm hearing.
I said Cyberpunk. I said Ghost Recon. I said other game. I said like DMC Devil May Cry and everything like that.
Okay, so
I said those
games. Throw Europe in there.
I guess those are European. I don't know. Like I just it's just certain Western
Board of American
games.
Developers, everybody.
Well,
No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I'm just busting your balls. They're very safe, and that is. And I don't think what you're saying is Spider-Man 2 is safe. Like it's not.
It's not safe.
It actually like it's does like there's Western developers or US developers, and Insomniac is one of these where they don't necessarily take huge risks, but they do what they do so at such an exceptionally high level that it's like it like dwarfs other games,
Yeah.
Like I expect Spider-Man to be so much better than like every other game in terms of just like a quality standpoint,
Yeah, exactly.
It's probably going to be the highest quality game we play this year, It's like just from like the lack of bugs, the polish of it, the look of it, the feel, the control of it, all that shit. Like they do that shit, those fundamentals, they do that shit like super fucking well,
Yeah.
But they're not trying to create a whole new fucking genre out of Spider-Man,
Yeah.
So
and I expect that for them. So that's why I'm like not super excited, because I expect this level of quality. Now, once I'm actually playing the game, then like that's a different level of excitement, if that makes any sense. But like just anticipating the game, like I don't have any anticipation for it like that. Like I'm excited for the game, but it makes it seem like I'm trying to be like, oh, like he's an elitist, like he doesn't really. I'm not excited for Spider-Man. Well, I am excited for Spider-Man. It's like, but I'm also excited for like other games and stuff like that. Like one of my most anticipated games was Bomber Cyberpunk, because I just didn't know what to expect from that game. Even though I knew what to expect, I just didn't know like how far they were going to push the envelope, how I felt in my hands, and everything of that nature. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, like they do a good job. I mean, there are other Western companies that do a really good job at like trying stuff out and everything like that. Um, but I just feel like Sony's core, like you know what a good example is?
Mm-hmm.
The Last of Us 2. I feel like The
Yeah.
Last of Us 2 is a really good example of a game that pushed the envelope. The combat is just crazy. Once you really understand how to play The Last of Us, like you can move Ellie and Abby like
Part
fucking John
two
Wick.
specifically.
Part two
Talking
specifically,
about,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. You can move Ellie and Abby like fucking John Wick. Like it's crazy what you can do in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Once you learn how to do the movement and everything like that nature, like the cover becomes like almost non-existent because they place everything, they place objects and all the other stuff around you to where you have to use that type of stuff and constantly move, and the AI is making you constantly move and everything of that nature. So I feel like that's a really good game of a Western company like perfecting their gameplay. But like when I anticipated the game, like it blew me away how deep the combat was. I'm like, whoa, this movement in this combat is really fucking good, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Well,
and
and
no
the
one,
encounter design and the environments were like next level for like a third person shooter.
yeah, and no one talks about it. They just talk
Yeah.
about Joe getting his fucking skull crashed in.
Yeah, the story, right? No, and I think that's the part of the game that sold me on The Last of Us Part 2. Whatever you think about the story, like I just think it's a good game to play. Having played through it a year ago, again, like I will say there were some things about it that I misremembered. I thought there were more encounters where you had three-way combat in the game, and there weren't. And that's like the one thing I kind of took away from the game, where I was like, man, I kind of wish they did this more.
Yeah,
Where you have three different sides fighting and you're one of those sides, you know, like you're in the middle of a firefight between the fucking the religious guys and the fucking oh my god, the wolves or whatever the fuck they were called, the people
yeah,
in
no,
Seattle, you know,
yeah,
like those
yeah,
encounters where those two sides are fighting and you're trying to either make your way through or you're trying to kill everybody on both sides. Like that shit was amazing. The way the AI would, you know, like you would kill somebody that one of the AI was fighting, and that one person that was fighting that NPC would notice and be like, oh, is someone else here? And then everybody else though would keep fighting. It was like fucking awesome, dude. Like it was so
yeah,
cool the way it worked. And there were there were a lot more encounters where the infected were up against one of the human sides, and you could just let that play out, or you could manipulate it in a certain way where you could lead the zombies to the enemy NPCs, and that shit was really cool. It created a new dimension to the combat that the first game did not have.
yeah,
Because the first game did not have any encounters like that where there were two sides were combined. Generally speaking, I don't think there was a single encounter in the first game where zombies and humans were interacting that way dynamically. You know,
yeah,
and that was just such a fun element to the combat. So to your point, yeah, like Naughty Dog pushed the boundary of what their game was doing, you know,
yeah,
and I think it was in the name of realism and challenge at the same time, but it worked really well.
yeah,
And the game had really good set pieces too. So yeah, I mean, like Naughty Dog, Santa Monica, Insomniac, and I think I'd put Gorilla maybe in a little bit lower tier for me on this, but all four of those studios, and then maybe Sucker Punch too. All of those studios, like I expect quality from them. If they release a game that is broken or doesn't work or is poorly designed, I would be incredibly disappointed. You know, at
well,
this point.
that was my real gripe with it's so funny because it's like The Last of Us 1 and 2 are total opposites of each other of why I like and hate them. The reason why I hate Last of Us 1, everyone was like, oh my god, the story. And yeah, the story's good, but the gameplay's boring as fuck to me. Like I played it, I'm just like, oh,
Yeah.
cover shoot. Oh, okay, I gotta sneak around this fucking clicker or whatever the fuck. I got okay. Oh, okay, cover shoot again, cover shoot. Ellie, come
Well,
on.
it's like the whack-a-mole third-person shooter where you can literally
Yeah,
just sit in a corner, and if you play it right, you can just sit in that same corner for an entire encounter. That's
yeah.
bad. That's bad third-person shooter design
Yeah,
generally. You know?
exactly. And like the story carried that game heavily in my opinion. Like it like I care about the story, but I was just like, okay, whatever. Like this is cool. By the end of the game, could care less about what happened. To be honest with you, I was just like,
Mhm.
whatever, bro. I don't fucking care because I was so over the gameplay. I just really wanted to play it and get it out my system. But then Last of Us 2 comes, and I'm like, this game's fucking crazy. And that actually made me engage in the story more. I didn't care about the first 20 minutes of the game because like the gameplay was really good. And on top of that, I actually like I liked Abby's story and her point of view and everything like that because I thought the decision that Joel made was fucking stupid. So I was just like, I'm on her side automatically in the next game
Mhm.
because his decision was fucking stupid. And uh like I don't know. And then I also like the revenge story for Ellie or yeah, for Ellie. And I like that. And I like that she didn't get her just desserts at the end of that. I like that she lost everything. And everyone's like, oh, it's fucking stupid. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, bro, like I like this shit. Like not to be the subvert your expectations meme, but it was like a tasteful subvert my expectations meme. It was like
Mhm.
she couldn't even play the fucking guitar anymore because she lost her fucking fingers. And it's like y'all don't see that? Like y'all don't see the symbolism behind all that shit? And it's like, no, Joe shouldn't have got killed, and that's the reason why the whole game fucking sucks. And Abby, I think Abby's fucking trans too, and they had a
Mhm.
trans character in the game, and who likes buff women like that? And it's like, oh my, like I I honestly can't believe the discourse still to this day around this
Around
that
that
game.
game, yeah.
Yeah, it's so
Me
crazy to
either.
me.
It's really annoying because I think it's a very deeply kind of human story that they were trying to tell, you know,
Yeah,
and I think they did it very, very well. You know, honestly, I like it's not a game that's trying to make you feel warm and fuzzy. Like that's not the point of the story. You know, it wants you to. It kind of wants to challenge the way you view the way people view the world in a sense. Like, how far are you willing to go to stick up for somebody that you love, you know, and that's kind of the journey that Ellie's taking is giving up everything to get her revenge on for what happened to Joel, and it's ultimately means nothing in the end, you know.
yeah, because she kills Abby and she kills the little girl at the end. And what else? What happens?
Right.
Literally nothing happens.
Right, she would get nothing out of that, which is
Yeah,
I think ultimately like she goes all the way to fucking California to find her. She goes through this fucking horrifying like basically death camp, you know, compound, finds her, lets her go, fights her, and at the very last moment is just like fuck, man, like
like
she just breaks, you know. It's like it's just and maybe it's a little cartoony that it takes her that long to get to that point, but I mean in this world, who she is, the way she grew up, her experiences with Joel, like I think it all works really well. Personally, I don't know, I think it all made sense, and
yeah,
I
to me it made sense. I understand people getting upset. Like, why did we have to do the whole California thing? And yeah, I can. If you if there was some way for them to like do the same thing, like Ellie still walks or Abby rather, and the little girl still walks away, and
Mhm.
without the whole California thing, um arc or whatever, that part, that
Mhm.
act. There you go. That's the word I'm looking for. That act. I think it probably been taken well better, but because we had to go through all that, it was like, why are you making us go through all that? And then she still doesn't get her just desserts at the end. And I was just like, I don't know. It goes to show you, like, sometimes you ever, to me, it was like this. You ever want something so bad, right? You save up your money for it,
Mhm.
and you've been saving up your money for months for it, and then you
Mhm.
finally get it. And
Mhm.
then once you have it, you're like, all right, I got it, I played it, or I have it and I used it, I play or I wore it, or whatever the case may be. What now? And it's like now your journey that you've been like chasing for the last 6 months, it doesn't feel useless, but you don't really have a goal anymore. You're like, I gotta find
Mhm.
something else to
Mhm.
kind of pique my interest or whatever, because it feels empty at the end. Like you feel really empty. And it's like I think that's where she got when she was about to kill Abby. She was like, all right, I got here, I did all this shit. And it's like, I kill you, and then what else, man? Like now that person, that little girl's gonna come for me. Like it is gonna be a cycle. You know what I'm saying? Like That
I mean,
person would
I
come
think
for
she
me.
probably. I think she would have got back. Like think about the arc of the game. Let's say she kills Abby, right at the end, and then she goes back to the farm, and fuck. Oh my god, what was her name? Oh my god,
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
her
Her wife.
girlfriend, yeah,
Her
or
yeah.
wife, yeah, whatever you want to call her. Like she's not there. The baby's gone.
Dina.
There's the
Dina.
Dina. Yes, Dina's not there. The baby's gone. The note's not there. Everything in the house is gone. The only thing left is the guitar, and then she's at the final scene. You literally could play it out the exact same way, where she's playing the guitar and she can't even play anymore. And then, dude, she just like, in my opinion, this is how it would play out. She'd take out a gun and boom, like
Yeah, it's just it for her.
she would have killed herself. Like there's nothing else to live for. She would have had nothing to live for. And I think that was the choice she was making, was letting Abby live allows her to live.
Yeah.
Like that's ultimately where she wanted to go. And frankly, I think with the third game, like I think that was the decision Naughty Dog had to make. Did they want a third game or not? And they decided they wanted a third game, because this opens up an opportunity now to close the loop on this trilogy. And like, I feel so clearly to myself that the story of the third game is going to be her finding a cure with Abby.
I think she's gonna finally make the choice to, like, I'm gonna sacrifice myself.
Exactly.
Because she didn't that was the whole point of the first game, or the second game rather, like the first half of it, when the flashbacks, like, she didn't get that choice. Like, you made that choice for me. I didn't get a chance to make the choice. Do I want to save people, or do I want to live selfishly? And like, that would, just think about that. Like, you have the means to end all of this. This right now. You have the means to do it, but you had to sacrifice yourself, or whatever the case may be. And then someone took that decision from you because they're like, I don't want you to do that. And you're like, well, I can literally change the world. Like, literally. No, I don't want you to do that. And they take that choice from you. Like, that's crazy to me. Like, that would be on my mind. And I was thinking about that playing the game. And it's like, it's just crazy that nobody else thought about that. Everyone's like, why is she so mean to Joel and everything? And it's like, yeah, I understand, like, the sacrifice he did, but you have to understand.
Do people really not get that, dude?
They don't understand the choice.
What he did was wrong. He was the bad guy. Like, I don't understand why people don't get this. Like Joel at the end of the first game is the bad guy. He is in the wrong 100%. And it's not about saving the world. It's the fact that he took away Ellie's agency,
Yeah. Yep.
He made that choice for her. And then he lied to her about it afterwards. He is the bad guy. Like, so
like,
yeah, I don't know.
He started that whole chain of events that happened in the second game.
Absolutely. If he does nothing, if he leaves that hospital and lets things play out, the second game doesn't happen. There is no second game. Like, it's yes, I don't know. Choices have consequences, and that's what that's another thing the second game is about, is that choices have consequences. The entirety of the second game is about, like, literally cause and effect,
yeah, because they lost what was his name, Jesse?
Yeah, that's exactly. Ellie's decision to go to Seattle caused Jesse to follow, and they lose him. Ultimately, she ends up pushing Dina away, and loses the baby with her too. Tommy fucking, like, can't even walk anymore. Like, all these things happen because of her choice to go get revenge, and maybe Tommy would have fucking
Tommy probably would have.
He probably would have gone by himself. Yeah.
Right.
Because he did go by himself, realistically. Yeah. But
I mean, that's understand. It was his brother. I mean, I understand that, but it's like, both of them had a choice at the end of the day. And it's like, it's a hard decision to make, but it's like, I don't know. It's like, there really isn't the right choice, because I feel like anybody in that situation would want revenge, right? But then you get all the way to the end. Like, if I lose fucking Deanna, I lose half my family trying to get the revenge on whatever happened. Yeah. And it's like, is it really worth it at the end for revenge?
I think the other part about it too is that the way it plays out is different, right? If she got to Seattle and the first person she ran into was Abby alone, injured, and she could have just murdered her right there, that would have been the end of it. She would have done it, and she would have left and moved on with her life. But, like, the way the events play out, all the struggle over 3 days to find this woman, and then you finally find her, and you can't even kill her in a 1v1 fight, and you lose a friend over it, like a friend dies, and all the people that Ellie killed to get there, she murders a pregnant woman. It's like
I
like
forgot
dude,
all about that shit.
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
she did.
all of that adds up, I think, to where Ellie ends up. Like if she showed up and Abby's like at the front door and she could just snipe her in the head, that would have been the end of that. But
Yeah.
it's like all the struggle to get to Abby leads her, and then to fail to kill her when she has the opportunity to, and then to have to go find her again and then go find her and actually go do it, and then you finally get there and you see Abby in this, like, she's lost everything too. It's like I think that's the other part of it, is like she finds Abby in like the worst situation imaginable. She's lost everything. She has no one other than this one kid that she travels with, who's also fucked up. They're literally strung up on a fucking, basically like a cross almost, in the middle of a death field on a beach, like with all these dead bodies and shit. And it's like, I don't know. I just think all that adds up to what the result is,
Yeah.
So I think it's really well done. And we got severely sidetracked
We
talking
did.
about Spider-Man. We got into Last of Us 2 spoilers. Sorry if that, that spoiled the game for anybody. But game's been out for 3.5 years now. You should have played it by this point. All right, Montrell, let's get into the show proper. So, hi everybody. This is Player's Take. This is episode 243. I'm your host, Justin DeSimone, and I'm joined by my co-host, as always, Montrell Rice. I'll just do the rigmarole real quick, and we will move into the show proper. So, for those of you who haven't listened before, this is our weekly show where we talk about video games, video game news, and other topics pertaining to video games. We post at 6 a.m. Central Time on Fridays on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and your favorite podcast app of choice. And if you'd like to send us questions, you can do so at The Player's Take on Twitter, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. All right, Montrell, let's move into what we've been playing this week. I'll go first. I don't have a lot to talk about. I haven't, unfortunately, this past week was a lot busier than I was expecting. And I have not had a lot of time to play anything outside of like Genshin and Honkai. Really, I didn't make any progress in Star Ocean. I just didn't have an opportunity to really play it this week. So yeah, that's mostly what's been going on. But with Genshin, I made some significant progress with the that story quest I was talking about, the side quest that was like 8 to 10 hours long or whatever. I finally finished that yesterday. And my God, it was so long. It's just another example though for me with this game. Like, as much as I love this game and I enjoy it, and I like the way it's structured and everything like that, is my God, their ability to just drag out a storyline is unbelievable. Like, this thing had, like, let me just explain the quest structure here. So this quest has 4 major parts to it. And the first part is relatively short. It's like 3 quests in a row. It kind of sets the stage for the rest of the quest. It's kind of an intro, right? It doesn't take very long. It's maybe an hour to an hour, I don't know, 15 minutes of gameplay. And then the next story quest is humongous. This is the large majority of the quest chain, is the second part of the quest, which is this entire chain of quests where you go to this place and then it unlocks a fuck ton of quests, and you have to go do 3 quests at 3 different locations, and then you do those 3 quests and you go back to this spot, and then you unlock 4 quests, or 5 quests actually, I think 5 quests that you have to go do in 5 different locations. Then you go do those and you come back, and then you have to go do you come back, and then there's this event that happens and you have to go talk to all these fucking people, and then finally you get through that part of it. And when I tell you, each one of these quests that I just mentioned, the 3 and then the 5, like, they are each probably 30 minutes to an hour, every single one of those. So we're talking anywhere between 4 to 8 hours of gameplay just from that one section right there. And then you finish all that, and then you get the final section of the quest, which I'd say is maybe about 2 hours probably total. After that, you get to the third part, and it's 3 quests back to back. It's it's not a bad quest. You actually get led through a whole environment, and you get to, there's a lot of like challenge combat and stuff. Like you have to like fight battles in tough situations and things like that, and it eventually leads to a boss fight at the end, which is pretty cool. And then you basically after that, the last part is you go talk to the NPC that started the quest, and it ends the quest. It's relatively short. But my God, man, when I was doing this, like the part in the middle, the second part where you're doing the 8 quests or whatever that you have to do that are just like prerequisite. They're not prerequisites. They're part of the chain, but they're kind of their own quests that you have to go do. And dude, oh my God, it's just like, it was dragging so fucking hard, dude. I was getting so irritated. Like by the, early on I was kind of enjoying it. I liked it. I liked the little the these little fairy characters that you're interacting with and stuff. It was kind of cool. They kind of remind me of the fucking what are the little creatures from Zelda Breath of the Wild that you get the seeds for?
Mm-hmm.
I forget what those are called, but they're basically little forest creatures like that, essentially.
The Koroks, I think they're
yes, the Koroks. They're very similar to those, which is another example of Genshin stealing from Breath of the Wild. But they're very similar to the Koroks in the way they are. They're little creatures that only appear to people who dream. So there's like some lore behind it, and whatnot. But they so I was enjoying it at first, but dude, the deeper in I got, the more asinine it all felt. Where I was like, oh my God, how many fucking components do you need me to go find for this fucking ritual? Because the first time they send you out to do 3 different quests, you're like fixing these things that are part of the world or whatever, like in like these like they call them concourses or something. You had to like cleanse the corruption that had built up on them. And then the next part where you go do the 5 different quests, they send you on a quest chain to one of them where you have to go find these 3 fruits that you need to combine as part of the recipe to make this other fruit that you're trying to make to save somebody. And then one of the other ones makes you go find, you have to like reactivate this fucking, this thing called the, oh my God, what is it? The, Varuna contraption, I think is what it was called, or something like that. You have to fix that thing. It's like broken, like part of the forest is like fucking all fucked up because this thing doesn't work. You have to go fix that. And then they send you on another goose chase to go find these other 2 components that you need as part of the fucking recipe to make this fruit or whatever. And it's like, dude, it just drags on and on and on. And I'm like, how many different things can you make up for me to go find for this stupid fucking quest? They could have cut this down by literally half, and it would probably still have felt fine from like a storytelling standpoint. Mm-hmm. It's just, so it's like, I don't know. This is like Genshin's problem is everything they do. I feel like, except for the main Archon quests, like everything else in this game though is just this kind of lesson in excess. Like they don't know how to do anything in moderation in this game, and it's kind of frustrating. And I get it; it's a live service game. They want to keep people engaged. They want to keep people playing. They need to make sure there's content for people to do, so they don't like run out of shit to do. I get that on one level. But on another, it's just like, dude, like this is everything we talk about with modern AAA gaming, where we have issues with like God of War Ragnarok or Final Fantasy 16, where these games are too long, and Genshin is the epitome of too long, and it's too long in a bad way, where it's like it's making good quests bad because they drag on for too long, where like they're telling a good story and then they just keep telling that story for like longer than they need to, like. It's like the dialogue just keeps going, and then you go meet a new character, and there's another character, and it's like this. I didn't need these people. I didn't need this character. I didn't need to learn about the merchant and what the merchant's fucking life is and what hardships he's been going through while I'm trying to solve the murder mystery. Like I don't need that. It's like I'm just solve the murder mystery. Like just focus on that. It's like they just get sidetracked so significantly sometimes, and it completely derails. And it's like, dude, even in the quest itself, they joke about it, where like some of the characters like forget what they're even doing. They're like oh yeah, we're still trying to do that thing that we were trying to do 8 hours ago. Oh yeah, that's the reason we're doing all this. It's like, I mean, like if you're like self-aware about it, why are you even doing it in the first place? Because that's like legitimately what happened with this quest. I did this shit over like a week and a half, man. And by the by like Monday, I didn't even remember what the original purpose of the whole quest chain was. It's like I'm like, oh my god, dude. So it's just I don't know. I wish they would figure this out. I feel like with Fontaine, it feels like they've kind of dialed it back a little bit. So I kind of need to just get there and get through this because as much as I like Sumeru, like they didn't learn their lesson with Inazuma that I had wished they had learned, because Inazuma had this problem in spades where the side content was fucking horrible in Inazuma, and it's like it was the worst region for me. So, but outside of Genshin, still playing Honkai 2. Not much more to say there. And like I said, I haven't played Star Ocean, so I am going to be getting Spider-Man tomorrow, and I will be playing it this weekend more than likely. So I'll have some things to say about that next week. But Montrell, we got to talk about something, man.
Yeah, I actually don't have too much to say. I started playing League of Legends again.
What happened, bro? What happened? 5 months. You made it 5 months.
I just wanted to see what changed. They just released this super big patch that everyone keeps talking about, which is patch 13.20.
Mm-hmm.
And it's supposedly addressed a lot of the issues that we said. So it turns out like a lot of the stuff that we were complaining about 5 or 6 months ago, everyone else has been complaining about. I knew we weren't on the fucking rock. Like I know other people hadn't been feeling it, and they were. Because like they slowed the game down. It's not slower. It's not slow as I want it to be because mythics are still there. But they did slow the game down. I did notice that when I was playing it. If like 35 minutes is like the norm now, 35 to 40 maybe. So it's definitely faster pace, or not faster pace, but slower pace rather. And there were certain games where we were down like at the beginning of the game, and due to our macro decisions, we won the game at the end, So yeah, because now the game is starting to shift back in the other direction to where it should have been. And a lot of people are like wanting that direction because I don't know why they took it in the other direction in the first place. So that's pretty much like what I have to say about it, to be honest with you. I think they're moving in the right direction. I'm not going to tell y'all to come back until probably like January when they take Mythic completely out the game, because I think that's what everybody wants at this point.
So it's still a problem. Those are still a problem, even with the longer games.
Even with the longer games, for me, it's a problem because I just realized, like, not just realized, but even though I realized it 5 months ago, but like coming back and playing it again, the mythics really just kill your diversity as far as like items. You're so locked in to like building one item. Like there was one point I was playing with Echo and the other guy had Silas, and he picked Silas before me in the draft, and I had Echo, and I was like, oh well, instead of building like Proto Belt and going for a super burst build, what I need to do is switch over to Lichbane and push the wave against Silas. That's how you beat Silas. You just push waves against him because he can't do anything. He's going to get super behind. He can't roam.
He doesn't have wave clear.
Yeah, he doesn't have wave clear. So you just push lanes against him, and you can win lane just by that. So I couldn't even do that though because I was already locked in as far as item build path to the Proto Belt. So I had to commit to that style of play, and I was just like, that's so dumb to me. Like, I was like, that's so stupid. Like, I can't just adjust my thing because if I sold the item, I would put myself behind to build the other item that I need to build instead of just saying like, okay, I can do the Proto Belt right now, and then I can build Lichbane later. I can't do that though because Lichbane's a mythic. I only have one mythic item. Like in the old game, in the old version of the League, I could have still done that. I can build Lichbane and be like, all right, I'm going to finish Lichbane, like not Lichbane. I keep saying Lichbane. I'm going to finish Proto Belt, and then I can get Luden's Echo. That's the one I'm looking for. I'm sorry, y'all. I've been saying Lichbane this whole time. I meant Luden's Echo. But I can get Luden's right now, and or I can get Luden's later. and continue to push waves and everything like that, and severely punish him every time he roams. Even though I still was able to do that, I was punishing him every time he did roam and everything like that. It just felt really bad. Like I felt like I trapped myself because I didn't get that earlier in the game. Like I didn't get the strategy. I didn't set the strategy as soon as I ran out of a fountain and in my first back, that was my strategy. Like, I guess that's the difference between like a really good player and like a mediocre player. But it was just like, I haven't played in like 5 months. So I was just like, oh yeah, this is what I need to do when I go against Silas. But it was like the game punished me for forgetting that. You're locked into your mythic now, bro. Like, I don't know. It's weird. I don't like mythics. I'm so glad they're getting rid of them because they're so bad for the game. They're so toxic.
Yeah.
I outside of that, I did have 2 bad games, but the bad games I had was because I literally had a support who I had 2 Lux supports for 2 games. I played Jhin bot lane. I was just playing everywhere, just to see how everything felt. And by far, I think jumping back in, I'm going to stop laning, and I'm probably just going to go back to jungle and support. I actually loving support. Like support is just not stressful for me, and I can impact the map. That's actually like the second most powerful role in the game. So I can do a lot of stuff from support. I tried to play bot lane. Like I said, I picked Jhin. The first game I picked Jhin. Like I had a fucking Yasuo. I was going against a Yasuo Yone bot, and my Lux.
Wait, what? Both of them?
Both of them.
What the fuck?
I'm like, the one game I want to play Jhin, I get his worst matchup. And like, then my Lux just wasn't hitting anything. Like she made me call her slur, like the R word. I was like, you're literally stupid. I was so mad. So and then
toxicity's back, baby.
Yeah, man, it was super toxic. So this was last night too, by the way. So that happened, and then I played another game, and I got Lux again, and I was like, and I was Israel this time, and yeah, she was bad too. She just wouldn't hit any skill shots and everything, and I was like, you know what? If I get another fucking Lux on my team, I'm going to kill myself. So once I got to that point, I was just like, you know what? No, I'm not going to play another game because I was about to queue up, and I was like, I'm done, and I just walked away. Like the old me would have kept playing until I got a fucking win. I was just like, nah, I'm not gonna do this anymore. I'm done. I'm not enjoying the game, so I'm just gonna turn it off. So I did that.
We need to do that, man. That's what we gotta do, man.
Yeah, I think that's what we gotta do. We just gotta. If we're not enjoying it, just turn the fucking game off. Like we can't force a win.
I mean, I'm down to play. I never really wanted to stop that badly, so I'm down to jump back on. I don't know. I mean, I know Brad.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Brad was laughing.
Jet, really, that's the problem. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean,
do we even need him? Do we really need him? I don't think so.
Nah, he's just gonna play mid lane.
He doesn't really enjoy the game, and we have 5 without him too. If Andy and his brother come back, so
yeah. So, I mean. Yeah, it's cool. Like I don't mind it. Like I think now we will be rewarded for our farming and macro play. There's still a bit of an issue, but the problem was before, which was the issue, is you remember that durability patch we had? They never really got rid of it. So the problem was when they did all these changes and everything like that for the durability patch, when you got ahead because your defensive stats from the durability patch was putting you up exponentially. So that's why the game was so snowbally, and that's why we couldn't kill people, was because that durability patch kept kicking in. So if you're 2 levels behind the Kate in your lane, she may have so much armor. That 2 levels gave her so much armor above you that you're like, I'm behind. I'm 3 levels behind because either I kept getting ganked or whatever the case may be. And I there's no way for me to come back because I can't really fight this because this Kate has durability. So she's essentially 6 levels ahead of you. You know what I'm saying? Like it kind of doubled everything because they were so durable. So then they put a lot of damage in the game to counter that. And then what ended up happening is if that Kate or that Zed on the other team snowballed, they snowballed extra hard because now they have the damage and they have the durability patch. So they tone all that shit down. All that shit has been like leveled out. They changed some stuff with the gold, how the gold works. It just really incentivized. They changed the way the jungle kind of works a little bit, as far as just numbers and stuff like that. So it just jungle is not as impactful. It's still really good, but not as impactful anymore. You won't get ganked every fucking lane or every, whatever, and people are not just camping bot lane. Now, granted, I've just been playing norms. I don't know how ranked is, but I'm pretty sure we're always going to be playing norms anyway. So, yeah. So, and the reason I also say like next season is going to be really good because they're changing blind pick. They're turning into quick play to where we just queue up our roles and then we go into the we don't have to do the draft pick or anything like that. You just go in with your roles already picked, if that makes any sense. Ooh. So we don't have to call it out in chat or anything like that. And yeah, that would be like really good because that would probably be our main source of like playing the game. It's just quick play without any bans or anything like that. We can just play the game and we can get a quick couple games in and then like go to bed or whatever the case may be. So I'm looking forward. That's actually one of my biggest anticipated changes is changing blind pick to quick play and getting rid of the mythic items.
Yeah, because I think that's one of the issues with League is as much as the games were short, it still took 50 minutes to play a match because the pregame took fucking 15 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, which I don't mind. Like sometimes I'm down for the pick ban phase, but like some days you just want to jump into a match. Like it should take a minute for the character select to happen.
Yeah, and not to mention that people would dodge in norms all the time and shit.
Oh yeah, that oh my god, that would happen so much where we would get to the second to last pick phase or something, and somebody would fucking dodge, and there goes fucking 8 or 9 minutes. Fucking wasting my goddamn time, and we got to do it all again. It's like, so I think that's definitely, that sounds like a nice change. Is that in the game now, you said, or?
No, that's next season.
That'll be next season. Okay. Yeah. So I'm definitely looking forward to that then, because yeah, that's a big thing. I mean, there's got to be a version of League where you can just jump in and play very quickly, where you can be in a match in less than 5 minutes, after you queue up. Like there's got to be a version of the game like that, and there just isn't right now unless you're playing ARAM, and it's like not everybody wants to play ARAM. That's not the game,
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah. So I mean, like if you want to play with me, that's cool. Like we can play a couple games. I'm down for that. Like I said, the game has changed. But I don't think we're gonna see like the super big change. You're gonna notice the change when you're playing the game, especially when you're farming. Even if you get shut down in lane, you're going to notice that like if I keep farming, I can at least start coming back.
Which that is different.
Yeah.
that would definitely be different.
Yeah. But we're not going to see like super, like this is already super big changes, but we're not going to see the changes that I'll say that we want rather until next season, which is in January. So that's the change I'm looking forward to. But as far as like coming back to it, I just wanted to check it and see it because it kept coming on my YouTube. And then I kept checking it. I'll check like the patches and everything, and they just weren't doing anything. And then patch 20 dropped, and I was watching the dev blogs and everything like that, and the dev videos. And yeah, I mean, without saying it in too many words, they pretty much said like, "Hey, yeah, we fucked up. Like, please come back." I think they saw that their numbers were dropping. Like, we don't have like numbers from them, but like I think they saw that their numbers were dropping. Like even Worlds. A lot of people didn't watch as many as they did last year. It's just because the game's just, it's not League. It's something else. It felt like League of Legends 2 or Wild. Like, to me, what they were trying to turn League into was Wild Rift. And if I wanted to play Wild Rift, I'll go play Wild Rift. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Right.
So, which I like Wild Rift. I think it's a really cool, like, quick play type deal to go into. But I didn't want my League like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
yeah. All right. Well, fair enough. We will maybe play a little bit of that if people are down. But yeah. So that's all we've been playing. All right, Montrell, let's move into the news. We don't have a ton of stories this week. Just following up on last week though. So the Activision Blizzard deal is official. It is closed. It closed on Friday. There were no complications with it. So yeah, Microsoft now owns Activision Blizzard and everything that comes with that: Call of Duty, Diablo, Warcraft, StarCraft, Overwatch, whatever the fuck else, Crash Bandicoot, which is hilarious to think about. How things come around like that. But yeah, they own a ton of shit now. And Phil Spencer obviously was doing a round of interviews. He got on the official Xbox podcast, went on there and spoke about games, Activision games coming onto Game Pass. And so I'm going to read a quote here of his talking about this. So, quote, "They're coming eventually, but the regulatory challenges surrounding this acquisition made it a bit trickier to navigate than the ZeniMax deal, and adding games to Game Pass isn't as simple as flipping a switch to put them on there. The truth of the matter is with Activision Blizzard King that the regulatory process took so long, and frankly, there was a lot of uncertainty in that process up until really a week before we closed, or the week of, when the CMA finally came down to their decision, that we weren't able to get in and work with mostly Activision Blizzard in this case on that back catalog work. So now that the deal is closed, we're starting that work, and there is work. And the Twitter handle did put something out that talked about 2024. I think that's accurate. I would love it if there was some kind of secret celebration drop that was coming in the next couple of weeks. There's not. End quote. So that's from the Xbox podcast. What is it called? Let's see. Official Xbox podcast. Yeah, is where he said this on. So this is coming from Phil Spencer. They're not coming this year, but they will more than likely start. We'll start seeing games from Activision starting next year. The deal is closed. They own them. Montrell, how do you feel about all this?
I still don't think it's really good for gaming, but yeah. I mean, it is what it is now. Do I see us getting anything from this? The only thing we may get from this is like, well, we already know what's going to happen in 2024. We're going to talk about next time or next. But maybe some shakeups in Blizzard. As far as like, we may get some layoffs. We may get some upper management layoffs. Things may change. But as far as like exploring ideas within existing IPs, I don't think we're going to get that. I think it's still going to be business as usual for a lot of these companies and everything of that nature. I foresee like maybe Call of Duty dropping as far as popularity. It's going to be interesting to see within the next couple of years. Like maybe this will finally wake people up to like, you know, I don't want Call of Duty to fail. I just want them to kind of innovate or do something, you know, whatever the case may be. But it is going to be interesting. Like now that it's owned by Xbox, I feel like I'm magically going to start seeing people see the flaws in Call of Duty now. Like that's what I feel like. So,
yes,
it's
are.
It's going to be like a bittersweet thing because I feel like people are only doing this because it's Xbox. They're only going to be doing it, but they're going to be hiding it under the guise of, oh, Call of Duty and Activision are just shit. But now they're just really doing it because Xbox owns them now. So it's going to be like a huge dog whistle, and I'm not looking forward to that. That's actually one thing I'm not really looking forward to. I'm not looking forward to everybody like WoW, Overwatch, all these communities are like, oh, it's so shit now. And it's like, has it been shit now or has it always been shit? And it's like, now that you're seeing that Xbox owns it, now it's shit. You know what I'm saying? So that's the only thing I'm not looking forward to. I feel like we're going to start seeing a lot of like think pieces and Reddit threads about how, you know, the game has just changed dramatically and everything like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. And I mean, we've seen this before. I mean, we all remember when Destiny and Bungie broke off from Activision and how everybody was like, oh yeah, this is great. Oh, you know, Destiny 2 is saved. It's gonna be so great in the future. And look at where the game is now. You know, it didn't get better. The monetization got worse, far worse, from what I know. And I don't necessarily think the community is like up in arms and hates the game in any particular way, really. But like look from the outside looking in, I don't see a healthy game with Destiny 2. I don't.
Well, they're still riddled with like a fucking hacker problem. They never
Yeah.
got rid of the hacker problem that's like plaguing
Yeah.
PvP.
Well, they've ignored PvP also.
Yeah.
They haven't added content to PvP in forever. I think they finally did that with the expansion. I think it was last year for the first time in like 3 or 4 years, which is insane. And so that that's exactly what you're talking about, right? Everybody blamed everything on Activision. Oh, it's all Activision's fault. All the problems with Destiny 2 are Activision's fault. And it's like, no, that wasn't true. And I feel like it's proven out to be that way. And this is the exact same thing that's going to happen with Microsoft now. All these games, Overwatch 2, Diablo 4, everyone's going to be, oh, it's fucking Microsoft. It's all Microsoft's fault now. It's like, dude, like more than likely, nothing is going to change here. And to be honest, like I don't expect major shakeups anywhere. Blizzard would be the only place I could see that. And I mean, we're going to talk about a major shakeup in a second, but like I'm talking at the studio level, right? Mm-hmm. I could see Microsoft coming in and kicking some people out at Blizzard. And that would be the only thing that would give me hope, actually, is if the leadership there was gone, like removed. Mm-hmm. But I just don't see them doing that kind of major shakeup right away. Like it will take time. And even if it does happen, does that mean things are going to get better? I don't necessarily think so, Like what insight does Phil Spencer have that's going to make things better for Blizzard? Like from his perspective, Blizzard is a successful company, probably. He's not like, is he some Blizzard fanboy like I am? No, like he doesn't know the history of the company that deeply, probably. Like he doesn't know where they came from. He probably didn't play Warcraft 3 back in the day when it came out, or original World of Warcraft, or fucking StarCraft 1. Like, like back in the day when those games came out, like he doesn't have that context. And it's like, without that, it's kind of hard. I feel like it would be kind of hard for a business executive to really understand where the problems with Blizzard lie,
Yeah.
So I just like, I don't think they're going to be some hero that comes in and fixes all these companies and everything's fucking better. It's like, I mean, we've been talking about this forever, man. They can't manage the studios they have now. And then you're going to add the biggest third-party publisher in video games to that and think it's somehow magically all going to get better. No, that's not true at all, dude. Like I frankly think this could end up being like, I do think people might be justified in complaining in a couple years, because I do think things might get worse for a lot of these games and a lot of these studios, because they're not going to be managed well. Like I don't expect them to be managed well. And I think you're going to see a degradation in quality even more than you might already have, So as much as there might be some fanboyism wrapped up in the complaining, at the same time, there might be realistic justification for it if they don't handle these studios in the right way, which I don't expect them to. So, I don't know. That's kind of all I have to say about it. It's not like, it's done. I'm glad we can kind of move on and that this is kind of over now. This has been dragging on for like 18 months and it's almost 2 years at this point.
Yeah.
I'm kind of over it. I'm so sick of talking about this fucking deal. So I am glad it's over in that regard, but I'm not happy about the acquisition in and of itself. Like I don't think any of the hardware developers should own a publisher this large, and this important. Like Call of Duty being on Game Pass. Let's talk about it from that angle, Montrell. So do you think this acquisition is going to help Microsoft drive Game Pass subscriptions up in the way that Phil Spencer was talking about in those leaks a few weeks ago that we discussed?
Yeah, I can see people getting Game Pass strictly for Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I think it's a subscription seller for sure. I don't see it as a system seller. I don't think people are going to buy Xbox. Well, you know what? Casual people and parents will buy Xbox, because if I'm in the store, well, I can't even say that anymore. But I guess like if I'm in the store, if I ask somebody or whatever, hey, what's the cheapest option for me to get my kid Call of Duty and next gen system, I would tell them, get a Series S and get Game Pass for about $13 a month, and you get literally almost every game known to man that's on the Xbox platform.
That you'll ever probably want to play, yeah.
Yeah, that you ever
Realistically.
probably want to play, and you're playing $13 as opposed to paying $70 for each game.
Mm-hmm.
And for a parent, I think that is like a deal breaker. That's it. That's it. That's what we're getting right there. And then if you want to upgrade to the to the Xbox Series X or whatever, that option is always there. Kids can still play Fortnite. They can still play Call of Duty. They can still play Overwatch. If Overwatch comes to Game Pass, well, Overwatch is free to play, so it doesn't even matter.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, you have everything you need in Game Pass. It would be interesting to see how this shakes up the market next year. It's not going to do anything this year, I don't think, but next year, it's going to be really interesting to see how it shakes up the market because, I feel like this is going to. I say it won't affect hardware sales, but I can definitely see it among the casual audience affecting hardware sales. The only thing right now, in my opinion, that has PlayStation going for it is literally word of mouth and exclusives, and casual people don't care about exclusives, so it's word of mouth carrying it right now.
Yeah, but do you think, because they're not taking it off PlayStation, so you'll still
They're
be
not.
able to get it on PlayStation. It's just that it'll be on Game Pass. Do you think that's enough to get people not to buy PlayStation, or if they have a PlayStation, buy an Xbox specifically to get Game Pass?
If they have a PlayStation, no. If they don't have a PlayStation or they don't have a next gen console, because there's still tons of consoles, there's still tons of PS4s out there. And if you're a casual or whatever the case may be, and you're like 7 or 8 years old and you play on the PS4, you don't have the power, the leverage to tell your parents, no, I actually want a PS5, not an Xbox. Like, they're gonna buy you what's the best thing for them and for you to still quote unquote have fun. So I feel like there are gonna be people who just buy the Xbox Series X. There are gonna be new gamers who just buy the Xbox Series X, or S rather, because it comes with that Game Pass. I would say if GameStop was like really prevalent, I mean it's still prevalent now, but if it was like really prevalent, like back in the day, I would totally be on Xbox's side as far as like this is going to be a system seller, because for me as a seller associate, if I'm in GameStop or Best Buy, which one has the better deal for the parent, right? That doesn't really know anything. I'm going to tell you, hey man, listen, I know you probably want to get a PS5 because the PS5 does have better games. Do you care about like God of War? Do you care about Last of Us? Do you care about Spider-Man or any of those games? Person says no. All I really play is Call of Duty. All right, cool. So what we can do then is what I would do. I would get an Xbox Series S or X. The X is more powerful than. Oh yeah, that's another selling point. The X is more powerful, technically more powerful than the PS5. So I'll tell you, the X is more powerful than PS5. On top of that, bro, not only do you get the subscription for online, but you get Game Pass, $13, $14 or $15, I think, or $20. I don't know how much it is now. But let's just say it is $20. You pay a $20 subscription fee, and they're like, why I gotta pay $20? But listen, you get thousands of games in their catalog. You can download them, uninstall them, play them anytime you want to, all for $20 a month. And the new Call of Duty is going to be on Game Pass. And newer Call of Duties probably are going to be on Game Pass day and date. So I don't have to. You're telling me I don't have to buy Call of Duty when it comes out? It's already on Game Pass. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. And as a casual person, if I was casual, I'd be like, shit, just give me an Xbox then, bro. Like I don't need a PS5 for whatever. Yeah. I can still play Madden. I can still play all that other shit and all that, So yeah, just give me that.
Yeah. No, I think that makes sense. I think it'll move units for Xbox for sure, but
yeah. I don't think it's going to change the landscape, but it's definitely going to put Xbox in a not in a winning position, but in a catch up position,
closer to parity. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's what they need to make Game Pass truly self-sustaining, I guess, in some way, because the only way it really is going to work is if they can supply enough quality content in order to keep people subscribed, and no offense to Penitent, but or fucking Grounded, like those games aren't keeping people subscribed, or even Hi-Fi Rush for that matter,
Yeah, yep, I
Call of
agree.
Duty will keep a lot of people subscribed to Game Pass in perpetuity, so because it's a live service game, and it has constant updates, and you're gonna get a new one every year, so like that is a game. If I had constant access to that, like let's say for instance that I was a big, World of Warcraft player or something. If they put the like World of Warcraft into Game Pass at some point, and make it part of the subscription, I mean, there's tons of people that would sub for that reason, and it might not make sense to do that, but I don't know. I mean, you're looking for reasons to get those Game Pass subscriber numbers up. You're just kind of moving the money around. You're moving those WoW subscribers into the Game Pass category. You still like, in theory, would have the same number of subs. You're not losing any money doing that. So you're just giving them access to a ton of extra shit for their subscription to a game they're already playing. So I don't know. I mean, like I feel like they have the ammo now to make Game Pass a long-term thing. It's just I'm more worried about the macro level of the number of studios they have under their belt. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, go ahead.
yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I think as far as management is going to be a shit show. Like, I'm not looking forward to like. I don't think we're going to get any good games or anything out of this. This is strictly a business move. Like, and I think a lot of people need to realize that.
Yeah, so let's take that conversation and move it into the next story, which is directly related here. So a couple of years ago, when this deal was first announced, that Bobby Kotick and Activision were under heavy fire for a lot of harassment stuff that came out, like workplace harassment stuff that came out around that same time, and people wanted Kotick to be removed, as CEO. And when Microsoft announced the the plan to acquire Activision, they did say they would be moving forward without Bobby once the deal went through. They're making good on that promise because it has been announced that Bobby Kotick will be leaving Activision Blizzard following the end of 2023, and he will no longer be CEO of the company. So this one is interesting, right? Obviously, from the harassment side of things, Kotick has bred a culture of harassment in a boys' club within Activision and its subsidiaries, right? Specifically, Blizzard was where a lot of this came from. But I will say, though, on that front, a lot of that stuff happened before Activision acquired them, but it continued after the acquisition, or the merger of the two companies. And that was under his watch, and he didn't really do a whole lot about any of that stuff. So from that front, it's probably a win, right? However, I feel very strongly that him leaving is going to make Activision worse from like an output standpoint, production in terms of games and quality games. Because whatever you want to say about the guy, like, he is a very shrewd businessman. Activision literally went out of business in the 90s. Like, this dude has been with the company 33 years. He revived this company from the fucking ashes and turned them into what they are today, which is the biggest third-party publisher in video games. You don't do that if you don't know what you're doing, and to take that person out of a situation like this, I think is going to certainly hurt this company in the short term. Definitely. And I don't think Phil or anybody at Xbox have proven the ability to manage studios to the degree they will need to when it comes to Bobby leaving, that they will be able to continue the output at the same level, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I think this will be a significant negative for Activision as a whole from a production standpoint. Culturally and all that stuff, definitely a positive for sure. but this is a big deal. Like, this is a very big deal to lose a leader that's been ingrained in a company for that long, and from the very beginning of it coming back, is not a small thing. Like, it's going to. I think this will have more of an impact than anything we just talked about. In the prior story, like there will be Activision Blizzard will be different as a result of this. It just has to be. Whoever comes in and takes his place, they're going to be a different person. They're going to have different goals. They're going to have different way of doing business. They're going to have a different way of treating their workers and just working, running the company in general. Meaning that we might legitimately see different games, new franchises, different franchises getting the focus, all across the board. Again, we're not just talking Blizzard. Like, Activision owns a lot of IP.
Yeah.
So like, we could see some different things. On one hand, that's exciting, but on the other, when it's underneath Microsoft, I don't have high optimism, I guess, is where I'm coming from with this. So I don't know. What about you? What do you think?
I kind of agree. I didn't even think about it from that perspective. I did not see you there, Silas. What the fuck? You've been there for a while. But yeah, I agree with you from that perspective. Like, business wise, yeah, he did bring this company back from the ashes. Probably him and a couple of other people, rose this company to the biggest publisher in the world.
Mm.
But the culture to get there, was the Achilles heel. And that's ultimately, I think, why he's going. I think the reputation that he has is just too bad. I would probably get rid of him, just because of that reputation. So I understand it. But yeah, as far as management, I don't, like you said, I don't trust Xbox to do anything. I like Phil Spencer. He's a really cool guy. I don't know all the business decisions that he has power over. But I would just say the upper management of Xbox, the way they have been managing the studios, has been really poor. We still haven't gotten Hellblade. We still haven't gotten other games. One of your best studios, arguably Rare, hasn't made anything. Well, wait, they made Sea of Thieves, right?
Yeah.
Is that their game? Okay, so they have made Sea of Thieves. Yeah. So, I mean, that was like your only W though within like the last 3 to 4 years. And I mean, Obsidian made to me the penitence thing from Obsidian was like very telling, to me. I would probably be offended, like, you made this behind my back. Like, yeah, it's a good game or whatever the case may be, because I heard people who play it, they're like, it's a phenomenal game. But yeah, that right there just kind of rubs me the wrong way. And now that the scope is even bigger now, like, who knows how many other projects are just being hidden or money funneled into the other project that should be going to other stuff or whatever. So, yeah, losing Bobby Kotick would probably, like, if circumstances were different, I would put it under me. If I was like Phil, and I'm like, you're going to be like my second in command, and I want you to manage some of these studios, make sure they're on task. But unfortunately, we're not getting that. So this is going to be a net loss for them, because I don't feel like right now, I don't feel like Phil has a number 2. I feel like he's doing everything.
Yeah,
if he does have a number 2,
it's not possible for him to do everything, dude. They're
exactly.
They're too big. There's too many studios.
Exactly. So I don't know,
he needs somebody else, and frankly, Bobby would probably be the perfect guy. Weirdly enough, like I feel like if he took some kind of role next to Phil or something like that, I actually would feel more confident that Microsoft can handle this. But that's not what's going to happen. So, and to be frank, like 2.5 months at the end of the year is a pretty short time frame to transition a CEO out. Honestly, so that's an interesting thing as well here. But I think Phil and Xbox and Microsoft are eager to kind of move forward. with Activision under their own vision. So, I mean, we'll certainly see. I mean, I'm going to be following this very closely personally. Like, this is such a massive shift in the industry that, you know, it's going to be kind of hard to ignore what the results are. So I'll be really interested to see in 3, 5, 10 years, like what the landscape is going to look like. Because yeah, I mean, things could be very different by the end of this generation. So, all right, Montrell, let's move on. Let's get off Microsoft. Well, sort of. um, so Pete Hines, he has been the head of publishing at Bethesda for a while. He's worked for Bethesda for 24 years. He has announced that he is retiring. And here's his quote. Quote, I am retiring and will begin an exciting new chapter of my life, exploring interests and passions, donating my time where I can, and taking more time to enjoy life. This was not a decision I came to easily or quickly, but after an amazing career, culminating in an incredible launch of Starfield, it feels like the time is right. End quote. So Hines is leaving after 24 years, and it does make sense to do this right after a major game release with Starfield, successful game release. In particular, especially, you know, once you get into the next project, it probably would be hard to leave. And knowing Bethesda, you know, they're not going to release that game for fucking 5 years. So, you know, unless you're in for that long haul, this is probably the best time to step down. It was a surprise though. I don't feel like Pete's that, you know, old. I don't know though. I don't actually know what his age is. So, you know, he's an interesting guy. He's been the head of publishing for a little while. He was their kind of PR, he's been their main PR guy for a long time. Like, he does a lot of the interviews for the company outwardly, and has for probably 10 or 15 years at this point. And he's kind of been the right hand of Todd in the public persona of Bethesda. Yeah, he's an interesting guy. I think it's a big loss for them though. You know, it's kind of, when you have somebody that works for a company that long, I mean, it's hard, impossible really to fill those shoes with somebody else. So it's going to take time for other people to kind of pick up what Pete has been doing. But Montrell, what do you think about this one? You think this is going to have a big effect on Bethesda?
Yeah. I mean, I don't, like you said, he's like one of the major staples of Bethesda. That's almost equivalent to like Todd Howard leaving Bethesda, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And the person has to take his shoes or fill his shoes up. It's gonna be rough, because it's like, do you change the culture, or do you embrace it and then, you know, upgrade the culture, or do you just leave it the same? So, it's definitely gonna be. I think he's going to be missed by the company. I haven't heard anything bad about this dude at all. Nothing but good things. And yeah, it makes sense too, after, you know, Starfield's been in development for like almost 8 years now. Probably even longer, with like you know, just prepping it up and, you know, pitching it and everything like that. I would take a break too, like you said. So I think he deserves it. I think everybody who fucking worked on Starfield deserves it. The way that game run is a technical marvel, like almost practically no bugs. So they actually tried. But yeah, I'm happy for him.
Fair enough. Yeah, he's actually only 54, so I'll be interested to see if we see Pete pop up somewhere in a year or two doing something else, gaming related. But regardless, happy trails, Pete, and hopefully, if he does decide this is it and he's retiring, he has a happy, healthy retirement. All right, Montrell, let's move on to our final story, and this is one for me. All right, Ubisoft is doing a crossover with World of Warships, and of all the games that you could possibly think of that would do a crossover with World of Warships, the one that they chose is Heroes of Might and Magic 3, which
it is said for some reason.
Yes, is basically my favorite game that I've ever played. You know, like it if I made a top 100 games list or whatever the fuck of all time, this game would probably be number one. Like very, very likely. I'm not sure. I can't think of many other games that would unseat it for me. And this is an IP that Ubisoft took a hold of about 20 years ago when New World Computing went out of business, and they've owned it ever since. And to be honest, they've done nothing of note with it. And here we are now. I feel like I'm hitting rock bottom with this IP because you're whoring it out to what is a free to play, I think a free to play fucking game that is a modern military game. These are like fantasy characters, that you're throwing into this game. And let me just read here. So you can basically, the crossover is you can use Heroes of Might and Magic 3 characters as your commander in World of Warships, and the commanders are Queen Catherine Iron Fist, who is a major character in the plot of Heroes of Might and Magic 3. Sandro the Great, he's a necromancer. He also has a very big role within one of the expansions for Heroes of Might and Magic 3. And then we get into the weird shit. So Mafala, who is a Elven Ranger character, she has her own campaign. Oh no, she doesn't. No, I'm misremembering that. So Mafala, Nymus, Gunnar, and Solomir are the other four they're adding to the game, and these are just random heroes from Heroes of Might and Magic 3. They're not involved in the campaigns in any story way. They might appear in some of them as a character you can play as, but that they're just random heroes you can hire. So there's nothing special about them. So why they chose these other four, I have no idea. But the point, this besides the point, I don't care. Like, what the fuck is Ubisoft doing with this IP, man? Like, are they so devoid of any remote idea of how to expand the Heroes of Might and Magic IP that this is what they come up with? Like, what the fuck, man? Like I was so upset when I saw this. This makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, literally, the article that I put in here from PC Gamer, literally the headline is Heroes of Might and Magic 3 is having a crossover with World of Warships for some reason. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't get it either. Like, what is going on here, man? Oh,
I honestly don't know. I think they're going for like a Halloween event. I don't fucking know, man. Mm-hmm. It kind of sucks. I think they just need money at this time. At this point,
yeah,
I think they need money at this point, and this was the way to get money. Because if you think about it, like, I know it's not the same. Excuse me. I know it's not the same, but you could do something with Heroes of Might and Magic. Heroes of Might and Magic. You can do something with it. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like there's a need for something of that caliber in today's. And if you don't want to do the hex-based, combat that Heroes of Might and Magic has, then you can do something else. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like Baldur's Gate 3 really showed that people are interested in other shit. Like, I don't know.
Well, so this franchise has a sister franchise called Might and Magic, just Might and Magic. Mm-hmm. And there were, I believe, 9 or 10 of those games, and they are first-person RPG adventure games like Skyrim or Morrowind, and I don't understand why Ubisoft has never even explored the idea of making another one of those, because that's how you would revive this franchise, is to make a true AAA RPG, first-person RPG, in the vein of the Elder Scrolls games within your Might and Magic universe. And the Might and Magic games and the Heroes of Might and Magic games are related. They're in the same universe. They have the same, they're taking place on the same timeline. You see some characters within one in the other. So these games have, relations to each other. And there's one avenue right there. The second is, create a game in a different genre. Like you said, like, I don't understand why they're so fixated on this idea of what Heroes of Might and Magic is. At this point, you've beaten it so dead with 5, 6, and 7 that I don't even want another one of these. Like, just leave it. It's like, you're never going to do it. Just, you guys are not capable of making that fucking game in that way, and stop fucking trying. I don't want you to try anymore. It's like, it's bastardized the franchise to such a point that I don't even, dude, I didn't even look at Heroes of Might and Magic 7. I know nothing about it. I have no idea what it is. I don't even know if it's decent. I don't care. Like, because it's there. I have so little faith in Ubisoft's ability to make a good game in this franchise that I haven't even looked. Like, I don't care, So I'm like, it's just frustrating to see this franchise like used in this way. It's like, are they trying to drum up interest in Heroes of Might and Magic? I don't think so. I think they're just whoring it out to whoever they can, and they're gonna make a little money off it because they just made a board game last year. They did a Kickstarter board game with a company, and while that does look good, and I did back that myself, it's like, it's just this though coming later is kind of showing me though that, okay, that was one thing, and I thought that was a specific thing, but maybe not. Maybe they're just trying to see who will take this and do stuff with it, like who's excited to do stuff with it. And my expectation here is that the World of Warships development team has people on it that love Heroes of Might and Magic 3. I would assume that's the only way this happens, because it makes no sense otherwise. Like, this is such a weird, incongruent combination of IP. That I like it, I can't even wrap my head around it, but I don't know. It's just such a shame, dude. Like, because like I said, Heroes of Might and Magic 3 is literally probably my favorite game of all time. And it sucks that the franchise got taken by a company that doesn't understand anything about it and has no idea what to do with it, because 3DL, which is the company that was part of New World Computing, I believe, that made the games. They made a Heroes of Might and Magic 4, and that game came out, and it was vastly different from Heroes of Might and Magic 3, and it was highly controversial at the time. And it was actually kind of the reason that the company went under, because it came out side by side with Warcraft 3 from Blizzard, and this is obviously when Blizzard was at the height of their fucking powers, and Warcraft 3 absolutely fucking crushed Heroes of Might and Magic 4. And Heroes of Might and Magic 4 was a mess. The game came out, it was broken, didn't work, it was buggy, the balance was fucking horrible. Nothing, like, the game was just total garbage. But eventually they worked on it after releasing 2 expansions over the next couple of years. They got the game into a really good state. So playing Heroes of Might and Magic 4 now, you would play it and think, wow, this is a really good game. Like, what happened? Why was this so unsuccessful? And it was because they rushed the game out to try to get ahead of Warcraft 3, and it didn't work. The game was a mess, and by the time Warcraft 3 came out, everybody just moved over to that in PC gaming, and the game got fucking crushed and left behind and forgotten, and nobody cared, and the company went out of business because of it. And it sucks, because there's some really good ideas in Heroes 4 of how to evolve the franchise, and I feel like that dev team, if they had been able to make a 5th game, I think could have made something really special. They were onto something, with the way they were evolving the gameplay and the design of the game. And we just never got it because they went out of business, and then Ubisoft took it and they made a Heroes of Might and Magic 5. And it's like in retrospect, compared to 6, what I know of 6 and 7, like, it's not a terrible game. It's decent-ish, but at the time it was just such a garbage. Like, it just wasn't anywhere close to the previous games in terms of quality or design, or fun factor, for that matter. And then basically the franchise has just been in a shit pile ever since, basically. And it's like, I don't know, it sucks, because what could have been, this could have been a mainstay PC franchise, for a long time. But it's kind of ironic to think about that sister, like that kind of sister game with Warcraft 3 that kind of caused its demise. But it's hilarious to think about 20 years from now, there hasn't been a Warcraft 4 either. It's just like where gaming is gone. Like, when I think about that specific situation and those 2 specific franchises, I get so depressed, because it's such an example of where gaming has gone, where the negative side of it, where people feel like there's no money in these things. And it's not really true. It's just, you need to make a great game and market it to people, and people will play it. Tactics games have had a resurgence, and turn-based games have had a huge resurgence in the last 5 years. And there's a proof out there that people like these games, you know, and it's just like, it just sucks. Like, and I just wish it wasn't in Ubisoft's hands, you know. I really do, because they are the last publisher of the major publishers that I think could make this series great, you know. But yeah,
I just don't think they have the. So I'm watching like a history of the franchise, and it's definitely, it would definitely be a hard game to revive. Just the way the tactics and everything work in the game, from what I'm looking at. So I understand probably why they had a tough time reviving it. Because I'm looking at the comments too, and people are just like, "My dad used to play this. My dad, my dad, my dad." So like, I don't know who's like playing the game. You know, that's probably where they have the issue is. But to your point, they could easily revive this franchise and probably put a little bit of the old and put some new in it, and make a tactics game, a really good tactics game, like a brand new genre tactic game or whatever. I don't know. I actually like the idea of me just being the commander and then I control like all these people in the field. You know,
dude. You know, have you ever heard of Age of Wonders?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like a similar franchise, and that franchise is fine. Like, it's thriving. You know, there was just an Age of Wonders 4 that came out this year. You know, and that's a really old strategy franchise with similar-ish combat. Like, it's not completely the same, but there's similar concepts in there. So, like, there are people that are willing to play these types of games. You know, and fuck it, if you want to, like, you can make a 4X style game too. You know, it doesn't have to be exactly the way Heroes 3 was or Heroes 4.
Yeah, from what I'm looking at, everyone's like Heroes 3, nothing was the same after Heroes 3.
Yeah.
The last game that I did see that came from Heroes of Might and Magic is a chess auto chess game.
Oh yeah, no, there's a mobile game too that they made.
Yeah,
also.
I saw that too. So
this is fucking brutal, bro.
I don't know, like, you have to make these games appealing, but the problem is, like, it's not even appealing. It's just there are people who, like, there are a silent majority of people, or a silent large ass crowd of people who love these games. And they will buy these games even without advertising and everything like that. And I think, and this is to me, Heroes of Might Magic and Age of Wonders, and it was another game I was looking at too. Fuck.
Disciples is the other one. Disciples is a big one.
Okay, yeah, Disciples. And there was another one that just recently came out too. Maybe it is this one. I'm not sure. But I think these games do well, or companies don't have issue like faith in these games because they think it needs to be a blockbuster.
Right.
They need it, and maybe part of it is presentation, right? But it's like, I haven't seen a commercial for Baldur's Gate. That was like pure word of mouth. People playing it online, people playing on their PlayStation. And another thing is, like, you need to bring these to consoles. Like, and I'm not saying alternate the gameplay for consoles. I'm just saying bring them to consoles.
Yeah, and Age of Wonders did that, dude. Like, the last Age of Wonders Planetfall, like that was the space version of Age of Wonders they made. Yeah. And dude, that's on console.
Yeah. So, like, I think, and this is the part of gaming I hate, right? And it always goes back to, like, what I've been harping, what I actually realized, and that's probably what I've been harping on it for the last couple of weeks or months, is because I just realized, like, the budgets of games, like, we're not willing to take risk on these type of games or make these type of games because they feel like they have to have a $50 billion marketing budget for this game. Yeah. They have to, you know, Age of Empires is still thriving right now.
Age of Empires 2 just came out with a fucking expansion in 2023. Age of Empires 2, guys. Like, we're talking about a game that came out in the 90s. Like, it's insane the way that game is thriving right now.
Yeah.
Why, though? Why? Because that genre is dead. There's no competition. It's totally open, you know?
Yeah,
the Ubisofts and the EAs of the world have given it up. They've given up all that ground, you know, even though they have Command and Conquer and
Yeah, I was just
whatever.
about to say, like, my franchise that I fucking love, Command and Conquer, is
Yeah.
fucking dead. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh
I
yeah.
love that franchise, and it's fucking dead now. And it was on consoles. It came to the Xbox 360. I played it on the Xbox 360, and like, um, I don't know. Like, I feel like everything has to be a huge system seller. Like, people think like Halo Wars, and then Halo Wars 2. I like Halo Wars 2. I like Halo Wars 1. They built it for the ground up for console, and now I can play Halo Wars 2 on PC and everything of that nature. And it's like, I love those games or whatever. And Microsoft abandoned it because it didn't sell as much as Halo Wars 1. And it's like, but I also don't need a $50 billion budget Halo Wars 2. I just wanted you to make Halo Wars 1 and just do it a little bit better.
It could have been like a $20 million game.
Yeah. You know? Like, it's just weird to me, like, how we see it every day on Twitter, and we see it every day, like, younger kids, like people Chris age and younger, want these complicated games. They want Magic. They want fucking Warhammer 4K. They want all these type of games that are just different, and we're not giving it to them because we think everybody wants Call of Duty. Like, and I'm not blaming it on Call of Duty, y'all, but we think everybody wants. I even put it on my shit. We think everybody wants a Final Fantasy game. That's what they want. You know, we're not going to advertise Dio Chronicles that much because everybody wants Final Fantasy, and it's like, but you have Dio Chronicles there, and that looked like a really good, cool game.
You made the game. Like, you made the game, and you just poop it out and let it die. Like,
and just let it die. And we both looked at it and was like, this actually looks really cool. But I forgot about the game. Yeah. And it's like, that's my fault too.
Harvestella too, dude.
Harvestella, yeah. Like, those games are very unique games. And I feel like Heroes of Might Magic is a very unique game.
Oh, it's so unique. And, I mean, it's one of one. Like, there are franchises similar to it, but there's no game exactly like it, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why it is my favorite game of all time. There's been no game I've ever played that is just as like well-rounded as a game. Like, it just has everything that I would want out of a strategy game, you know?
Yeah. And for me, like, I think BioWare fell into this trap. They're actually a really good example of like falling into this trap. I love Dragon Age Origins 1. Once I understood the combat, I was like, this game is fucking amazing. Like, oh my god. It was
yeah, but what did they do? What did they do with Dragon Age? To your, like,
that's what I'm saying. And then Dragon Age 2,
going, right?
Dragon Age 2 comes out, and it's this fucking action, almost, I don't even know what the fuck they were trying to go with it. And then Dragon Age Inquisition comes out, and it's like, it's the action still, but they were like, oh, we can pause combat and you can do stuff like that and everything. And it's like, yeah, cool. I like where you're going with this or whatever.
But now we have a fourth game that's been in development for like, what, 5 years?
Yeah, and I feel like they don't know if they want to do the Dragon Age Origins type or they want to do the Inquisition. And I like Inquisition because it combined both of them together, in my opinion. I mean, a lot of other people would disagree with me about that, but I feel like they did a good job of like trying to, you know, put the CRPG element back into the action game element. You can pause combat, you can get commands, and you can move certain characters in certain spots and everything. Because I was doing that, and I think I was playing on a harder difficulty because normal was just way too fucking easy. So I was playing on a harder difficulty, and I don't know, it forced me to use strategy. But like, I played Origins on normal, and I was just like, yo, this game's fucking hard. Like, I don't know,
Origins just had a lot of rough encounters, dude.
Yeah. It was very, I remember complaining about that. I was like, man, like the random encounters when you're traveling were like, is like crazy to me.
No, I remember there was this one in particular. There's this mage tower you go in the first game.
Yep.
Bro, that whole area was brutal. There were monsters. I want to say the end boss. You fight like a wizard, I think, and dude, he blew my party up in one shot. You know, like literally one spell killed everybody. Like, so that game was rough, dude. That game was really tough.
And I feel like there are just people who want these things. Like people don't even know what CRPGs are now, and it's just actually it's a it's a dead genre. I mean, it's coming back in a little bit, but like
Mm-hmm.
I still feel like it's dead. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
and
and I just think Ubisoft, like, if they took Heroes of Might and Magic and gave it, a decent budget, 20, 30 million, and gave it to a competent studio, because what they
Mhm.
do is, I think they give it like no budget at all, and then they've given it to this. I don't know if it's the same Russian studio, but they keep giving it to Russian studios and having them make the game, and these are studios that like are just no name studios, and it's like, why are you giving this to like just this talent that is not capable of making the game that you're trying to make them make, or have them make? It's like, it's so fucking frustrating, dude. Like, and I'm glad we like got into this, like kind of took the conversation in this direction about budget and game scope, because this is something that's been on my mind a lot. And I mean, we keep talking about it, but we're going to continue to talk about it, because I think this is a huge problem in video games, man. Like, dude, the Callisto Protocol was just given away on PS Plus, I think this month, right?
Mhm.
And or maybe it was last month, but this game was an absolute abject failure of a game, to the point that that studio like is potentially not going to be able to make a second game, and guess what the budget of that game was?
If it's
Did you
anything
play it?
over it,
Did you play it?
I still haven't played it yet.
Okay.
Because I
Yeah,
heard
but
it
you
was
you
just
know
really bad. Yeah,
you know what it is though. Like, it's a short single player
yeah. It's a short single
survival
player.
horror game.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. It's the same. It's from the X team of Dead Space.
Right. So yeah, what's your guess on budget for it?
I'm gonna say 100 million.
Not even close. 162 million.
What?
Yeah. Right.
Why?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what the fuck did they do with that money? Like, are you kidding me? So it's like exhibit A of what is wrong with gaming right now. Like, the idea that you put that much money into that game,
It's
there's
still
no
hard to
reason.
believe that fucking Ghost of Tsushima was 50 million.
Right. Yeah, and that's one of the best games of last generation. It's like 50 million for that game. Like, go, like, anybody who hasn't played Ghost of Tsushima, go play it and tell me if that doesn't feel just as good or better than Horizon, which was 200 million. Horizon Forbidden
That is
West.
insane. Horizon was
Like,
200 million.
yes, and Last of Us Part 2 was 220 million.
Yeah, I remember. Okay, yeah,
Yeah, and it's like, these games, like, I feel like these companies are just, dude, they're afraid to take risks to such a degree that they're willing to put that much money into a game, when and then bloat their game scope, because what studios, I feel like, are doing is they're using all that money that they're being given, um and they're just making their game bigger because they have the resources to do so, when it's not serving the game,
yeah.
because my biggest complaint about God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, The Last of Us Part 2, all three of those, the biggest criticism I had of all three is that they're just too big. Like, there's sections of the game that you could literally cut out and it wouldn't impact the game at all. It would make the game better, probably, and that is just become a trend in general. I feel like in game budgets have ballooned to ridiculous, absurd degrees, and what are we getting out of the money, that you're putting into into these games? I just don't feel like it's being used in the right ways, And Final Fantasy 16, why is that game as long as it is? It doesn't, like, you could cut probably 33% of the game and it would be better, Like, it
Yeah.
would have been better received probably if it was shorter. The game just overstays its welcome, and it's like, and I was talking about Genshin. I was talking about Genshin earlier. It does this shit all the time, or it overstays its welcome. It's like,
It just I don't know. I feel like we need and don't get me wrong. I feel like there's a time and a place for a big budget game. It used to be when you get this big budget game, right? Like they kind of been building up towards it, right? And all the studio and the games have been making, like, okay, now we finally have this one grandioso game that we wanted to make, or whatever the case may be.
yeah.
And I feel like that's cool to get every once in a while. But do I need every title to be Spider-Man budget? Do I need every title to be Final Fantasy VII Rebirth budget? I don't, man. I really don't. And I feel like that's why we see these studios fail. It's because they keep trying to get that shit instead of just kind of building within their own scope. Make a $50 million game, make a $20 million game, make a $30 million game, and just have fun making it. Like, middleware companies need to make a comeback. And I don't care if they're like owned by Xbox or PlayStation or wherever. They just need to make a comeback and make their own games. I mean, it was just, and I think that's why people look at the PS2, GameCube,
PS3 even.
PS3, Xbox 360, the OG Xbox era, that little era. I think the reason why people look at that era with such nostalgia is because, yes, the games, like if you go back and play them now, they aren't up to quality, right? They aren't up to the standards of games today and everything of that nature. And I know that's the biggest gripe against, like, the nostalgia glasses. Games are so much better. And it's like, yeah, of course games are going to be so much better because that's evolution, But like, I think when people look back at those games, it's not because of the quality. It's not because of, I guess it is the quality, but the quality of the times. It was just because we got so many different variety of games. Like, you can play, and you can do that now, but it's almost like AAA or indie. There is no middleman anymore, and it's pretty. You can't get that. It used to get games that were like, they had the startup of an indie company, but the quality of a AAA company, and those are the middleware companies. And I mean, we got like Heavenly Sword because of that. We got like fucking, I even say DMC Devil May Cry. I know a lot of people didn't like that. Like a lot of Ninja Theory games, like Kung Fu, was there one game, Kung Fu Chaos and stuff like that. Like we wouldn't have got like stupid games like that from these companies. That's what Ninja Theory made. And now they're making fucking Hellblade. But I remember them when they made Kung Fu Chaos. And that game was just fun as fuck to play. And I was just like, yo, this is a fun ass game to play.
Yeah.
And we won't get games like that anymore because now every game has to be, we won't get a Killzone anymore. Well, I think Killzone was always backed by Sony, so I can't even say Killzone.
Or Last Remnant, man.
Like, yeah, we won't get a Last Remnant anymore.
Right, types of games like that. Like Square's just like gave up on that kind of innovation because that game, that's a game that's super unique.
To be honest, a lot of people hate on Nintendo, including us, but they're the only company who's like, okay, we'll give you like 20, 30 million. Make something out of this. And the companies they give it to, they make something out of it. And everyone loves those games.
Yeah. Yeah, and even, for them, I've been hearing about Super Mario Bros. Wonder that's coming out, I think, tomorrow, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people are saying it's the biggest change in 2D Mario in like 20 years, like... so even Nintendo's innovating, it's like
I'm pretty sure Mario is not a $4 million budget game.
No, I doubt it. It's not 200 million, definitely. Yeah, I think that's the thing though. There's a lesson there, right? Nintendo keeps the scope of their games in check, man. They don't bloat the shit out of their first party games. The only example I can think of is Zelda, the last two Zelda games, where maybe they let it get out of control a little bit. Yep. But they're doing that. I think they're doing that only there, right? They're not doing that with Mario. They're not doing that with fucking Kirby or Pikmin or whatever.
Mario's like their best seller, bro.
75 million Pikmin game, 75-hour Pikmin game, like.
Yeah, and Mario sells. Like, Mario Kart, I'm pretty sure. I'm 100% sure, bro. Mario Kart, Super Smash Brothers, their budget probably didn't go over fucking 50 million. I can't look at Mario Kart and be like, that's a $50 million or that's a $100 million budgeted game.
And they've sold 64 million copies of Mario Kart 8.
Yeah. And it's like, I just can't see it. Like, you know what I'm saying? I can't look at Mario 64 and be like, man. Or no, I mean Mario 64. I can't look at Mario Odyssey and be like, man, that's definitely a $75 million budgeted game.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm pretty sure it's not. I'm
Yeah, and
pretty
I mean,
sure it's that.
dude, pacing is another thing that Nintendo gets right too, right? They don't have a lot of extraneous bullshit in a lot of their games. I think that was my issue with Odyssey and Breath of the Wild, right? That was like Nintendo kind of getting a little away from themselves, but but they didn't keep doing that with every fucking game. Like Luigi's Mansion 3 is a tight game, It's like a 15-20 hour game at most, and it's fucking that's it. That's all it needed to be, and I just think about like those generations you mentioned, like the PS2, GameCube, PS3, Xbox 360, where I feel like the pacing of games was just better back then, especially PS3, man, and Xbox 360. I mean, dude, think about all the third person games we got, like, the Uncharted games, the Gears games. Like, dude, the pacing of those games is fucking immaculate, They're not long games. Like Gears of War 1 is a really short game, but like, did it need to be longer? Like, do I need it to be 15 hours? Yeah, do I need it to be 15 hours? I don't think so. The game probably would have been worse if you made it that long, And all the Uncharted games, the first 3 in particular, are immaculately paced games, and they're all about they're really tight 10 to 12 hours, and it's a fucking blast from start to finish, And Uncharted 4 is, the scope creep started to come in. That game's fucking huge, compared to the other ones. And it's the worst game in the franchise, in my opinion. And that's part of the reason why. It's like the game just like sticks around too long and doesn't get to the fucking point, it fucking meanders at times in the story and in the gameplay. And it's like, I just like, can we go back to that time? Like, I love the Uncharted games. They are great weekend games. You started on Friday and you're finished with it by Sunday night, and that's fucking like, I miss that shit, dude. Like, I really, really miss that shit in video games. Like, I just don't feel like there's very many games that I could possibly be done with in that time frame anymore. And I want it to come back, because I just feel like the industry is injuring itself to such a degree with the way these games are, that the expectation for gamers has become that games are this long, and if you release a game that's 10 hours and you charge $70 for it, you're getting fucking blasted to the sun and back on Twitter about it, because like people are complaining about Spider-Man's length, dude. Like, they're like, oh, it's only 30 hours. What the fuck? I'm like, fuck you, man. Like, what the fuck? Like, Insomniac actually had restraint, like they actually had the restraint to keep their game manageable in terms of how long it takes. It's like, there's nothing wrong with that, like a tight game can be a great game. Like, it has a higher likelihood of being a great game. And to be honest, it's easier for the companies to make them, I'm not sitting here saying that the game should be shorter and worse. Like, the quality bar should be just as high as it is now, but god damn, dude, it doesn't need to be 100 hours. Like, we don't need every game to be that big.
And I think that's the crux of everything too. Like, I don't know. I don't need a game, like you said, to be 150 hours. I don't need, and it's like they feel like they have to justify it with the budget they have. Like, we'll give some of the money back. Like, hey, we actually don't need this. We can
don't fucking spend it.
Yeah, we have a real tight story right here, and this is what we're gonna do with it. And yeah, and like and also that's a good point to blame the players as well, because whether the industry fed us this expectation or not, I feel like that should not be the expectation with each game. And we said it with like Final Fantasy VII Remake, perfect length. It got to the fucking point, and that was it. I'm scared, to be honest with you, for Rebirth. I'm scared the game's gonna be a little bit too big.
I know they're talking about it being 100 hours or something. And
yeah.
I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
I mean, it's natural with where the story is going that's going to have to happen probably, but
yeah. And I understand that. It's just like, okay, if that 100 hours is enjoyable, then cool. But hold on, my mic is messing up. All right, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, you good? Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, if it's enjoyable, then I'm all for it. But at the same time, it's like, also just like, I'm playing Cyberpunk, right? I feel like ever since the rework and everything of that game, it's a quality experience. But even that game, I'm just like, there are hundreds of missions, or I wouldn't say hundreds, but like dozens and dozens of missions that I haven't done yet that probably have all really good storytelling, voice acting, and everything like that. Because everything's voice acting in the game. It has probably some little cinematic or whatever the case may be. So, and I don't have time to do that because I'm like, all right, bro, like I'm liking the game, but I kind of just I get the gist of where you're going with it now. And it's like, do I need all that extra stuff? Like, I understand you're trying to flesh out the world, but do I need all that? Even for The Witcher, it's like, do I need 150 hours, bro?
No.
do I need
and
it?
then 80 extra hours of DLC? No.
Yeah.
You don't need all that.
But like, even with that, right? I would say, let's take Xenoblade for example, and that's a long ass game. And I'm not talking about one. I'm not talking about 2 or 3. Let's take 1.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the budget for that game is like 50.
Not even.
Under 50 million. Under 50 million. 20 million.
Probably 20 million.
And I still got a good solid 80 hours out of that fucking game. I can probably go more if I want to.
Oh, it's definitely more.
Yeah, and then let's say Xenoblade Chronicles 2, the budget was like 50 million, right? Because this presentation is a lot better. So let's say
there's no way it's that high though. Like
I don't think so.
No, dude, the series does not sell anywhere near enough to justify that budget. There's no way Nintendo's giving them that much money, dude. That's what why I think Monolith Soft is like incredible, you know, with what they're able to do. Because I don't think they're given nearly anywhere near that much money.
Okay, I would say 25 million for like 30 million. I'll give 30 million, and I would say probably maybe 35 million max to 40 million for Xenoblade Chronicles 3, because the presentation in that game was way better than any of the other Xenoblades. I think that we can both agree on. But it's like, even those games, it wasn't a $250 million Destiny microtransaction written game, you know, like with a fucking 10-minute campaign. Well, it wasn't 10 minutes, it was probably like 8 hours, but like an 8-hour campaign. Like, so even if the game is too long, like, because we all can agree that all the Xenoblade games are extremely fucking long. And I get why some people don't finish them. But at the same time, like, they were only like $20 to $30 million budgeted games. I think that's a good trade-off. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm Nintendo, I'm like, this is a really good fucking trade-off. Even Pokemon games, we damn for sure know those games ain't costing $100 million in budget. Or if they are, that is the hugest money laundering scheme Game Freak has ever pulled.
Yeah.
So we know those games aren't $100 million, especially after the last one. We know that for sure, 100%.
Yeah.
I would go. Y'all think I might be joking. I would go to the part and say these are probably like $20 million budgeted games, probably even lower, because they don't do anything. But
it's not bad.
Yeah, that's me being generous, because they don't put in extra animations. They don't do anything. Like, so where's the money? They don't have voice acting, so where's the money going? You know what I'm saying? So, like, and they still outsell games with $100 million budgets, $2 million budgets, and everything like that. The only game that does consistently well, and you know what? I even go a step further, Justin. There's no way in hell Madden is spending, EA spending over $50 million on Madden, and that game sells hotcakes. There's no fucking way. If they're putting over $50 million into that game, that team, the high upper management, they all have Lambos, bro. All of them.
Oh, for sure. The executives are living life, man. They're living life. Yeah. No,
but that game sells, right? You know, and I'm pretty sure the budgets for Madden aren't that big.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just thinking about, sorry, going back to Xenoblade real quick. I'm trying to think about it. The first game, I think, probably had a low budget. Like, I'd probably put in like 30 million range, probably. The second game probably had a bigger budget, and the third game probably had an even bigger budget than that, I would imagine. Yeah. So I would bet 3 is probably in the 50 to 75 million range, and even that I feel is high. Like, I don't I don't think Nintendo would expend that much budget on Xenoblade personally. For what it sells as a franchise, it's not a big seller. I would be surprised if it's actually that high, but it has high production value, and I mean, it looks fucking great, and the technology is incredible that they're using with that franchise. So I don't know. Maybe Nintendo feels like that studio is just an investment that's worth it. Like you invest and let them make games they want to make, but then they're an amazing support studio for some of your more important titles like Zelda and Smash Brothers and shit. Because Monolith Soft works on all this stuff behind the scenes. Like they have a team that supports a lot of Nintendo's other development teams. So that might be where they see the real value, and they're just like, yeah, Xenoblade's fun and all, you guys can do that, like, but yeah, we want you, supporting our main studios. So maybe that's how they shake it and justify the budget there. But I would love to know. I mean, I'd be very interested in knowing. It's just Nintendo is very interesting to me. I would love to know the budgets of their games in general, because I can't imagine that besides maybe Zelda, the last two Zelda games, anything they've ever made approaches 200 million. That would surprise me.
I feel like even for Zelda, I can't see that surpassing like 100 million, even 75 million. I feel like that's why they get so long to work on those games, because the money is actually going towards working on the games and not just like marketing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Zelda probably has the biggest marketing budget, right? And even that wasn't egregious, in my opinion. Like, I don't know. I can't really explain it, Like Mario, I don't see Mario plastered everywhere on my websites and everything like that. And that's still going to sell like 10 million copies tomorrow, Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. Like, I just don't know, man. I just don't get it. So,
yeah. No, I don't know. But, I mean, in general, game budgets are too large. Games are too large. Let's rein the scope in, guys. Like, I would love to see more games rather than the situation we're in. Like, I would like to see more games that are shorter, personally. I would personally love that. I love diversifying what I play. And I just wish we could see more franchises, more IP, more attempts at doing different things in the industry. And I just think the industry has become so risk averse and almost habitual in the way they design games and make games nowadays that it sucks. Like it's a little frustrating, because as much as there's great stuff, and I mean this year has been incredible, for gaming, it's just like we could have more, though, is kind of what I think both of us are getting at.
Yeah.
If the financials, if the financials and the management of the studios was handled in a more sensible way.
But. Well, like, not to harp on, or not to, I know I just talked shit about Obsidian, but these giant budgets are the reason they felt like they had to go behind the backs of Microsoft and make penitence.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, they're a studio that went to fucking Kickstarter, dude, to make a game, So I don't know. They've been in dire straits before, so they know what it means to make a game on a shoestring budget, Like Pillars of Eternity was probably made on a very small budget, and that's a really fucking good video game, So I don't know. It is what it is. It's probably not going to change in the short term. Like, it's probably more of a mid to long term thing that's going to change again. Because I feel like the last 8 years or so, we're really, maybe even as far back as 10, but I'd say 2015 is really where I started to see this bloat happening to a significant degree. But even, I mean, I guess you're right, 2014 with like Inquisition, Dragon Age Inquisition.
Yeah.
Going so far back as that, and it's like this has been a consistent thing that's been happening since then. With games where developers feel like they just need to go bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's the design innovation, and it's not, in my opinion, not the way I would like to see innovation happen. I mean, the Arkham games, we bring those up all the time, right? those games got bigger as they went along, and they got worse as they went along. At least from my perspective, like that's how I feel about that trilogy of games. And I don't know how the public at large feels about it, but Night was like received really poorly, as a game. And Arkham Asylum is like a beloved game, and it's very tight. That is a tight like 30-hour experience, probably fully to full complete.
Yeah, I actually like the smaller scope.
Yeah.
But it's so weird, right? Because like I feel like Dragon Age had a weird cycle. I feel like Dragon Age 1 had a low budget but was bigger than Dragon Age 2, which had a higher budget but was significantly smaller. When you play that game, it takes place in one city, and then the city is not even fleshed out.
Well, remember that game was made over the course of I think a year though.
Oh, yeah, that's right. BioWare
yeah,
Magic.
It was. Remember that one. That one was like a super tight development window. So I'd say 3 is probably safer. Like Inquisition is probably a better one to compare with.
Yeah.
1.
But I mean, Inquisition is fucking huge. So I mean, you can actually see where the money went to that. But it's just like, Jesus Christ, man. I don't know, man.
Yeah. All right, Montrell. Let's we've been rambling on long enough. Let's get the hell out of here.
All right.
Is there anything else you want to talk about before we go today?
Yeah, I know we already rambled on, but you won. Yeah, you won the NPD
yes, Metascore. That's right. Yeah. So Spider-Man 2, we guessed. Montreal guessed a 9.5. I guess an 8.9. The game is currently sitting at a 91.
Yep.
On Metacritic right now. So, and Super Mario Bros. Wonder is at a 93.
Yeah.
Currently, which that is pretty big. That's a huge fucking hit for Nintendo. So, is there anything coming up soon that you want to give a go at?
No, not really. I don't think I have anything.
Ghost Runner 2? It's too small of a game. Yeah, I'll look through and maybe something for next week. But Montreal, I know you're excited about this, dude. I did not realize this was coming out this soon. Warcraft Rumble, the Blizzard mobile game. It's coming on November 3rd.
Oh my god.
Are you ready? Ready for that?
What is that?
It looks I don't care. All right, let's get the fuck out of here. I don't want to get into a fucking another rant. All right, everybody, if you like this episode, please like the show, review the show, and subscribe to the show on whatever feed you're listening to it on. And please share it with your friends. If you'd like to interact with either of us on Twitter, you can do so at iTrap for the Hokage for Montrell. That is the number 4, not the word. I'm at ThunderNut01, and the show is at The Player's Take. If you'd like to send us a question, you can do so on Twitter, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. And that's going to be it for us, guys. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you next week. Bye.